time since we've done this. You and I are usually like an every other week kind of thing, and you were out for 2 weeks on the podcast, and I was just like, I don't know what to do. But now you're back.
Yeah, I originally did it because I thought I had a plan.
Yeah,
and then the plan never happened, and I just sat there on Thursday not knowing what to do with myself.
Was it one of those things though where there was a potential thing that was going to happen, and so you cleared your schedule, and then it turns out it didn't happen, and you were like, "Oh, thank God! I'm just gonna watch television. I'm just gonna sit here and order a pizza."
It was yes and no, because the issue was that once I realized something was gonna happen, I was like, "Well, I didn't plan anything. I didn't plan a backup plan,
right?
And I don't have anything I want to watch right now."
Yeah.
And I just sat there staring at my dog, being like, "Do you have any ideas?" And he's just like, "You can go outside again." I was like, "Okay, I guess I'm gonna go outside again in the hot sun."
Well, now you do have something to do, and it's called the RageSelect podcast.
Yes.
Right here on RageSelect. I'm Jeff.
I'm really bad about taking time off because if I don't have a plan for that day, I'm like, I've wasted the entire day.
Yeah. I always have a way to take up any day that I have off, and it's called liquor.
And, liquor? I barely know her, Jeff.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that, okay, let me put it this way. If I had a free day to do something, and it was spring, I might consider doing something. If it was fall, I might consider doing something. If it was winter, I would put on a jacket and go to the bar with my friends. It is summer in Texas. It is hot and humid as shit.
Oh, yeah.
I do not want to leave my house.
Yeah, that was the thing, because the only reason I was going to leave my house originally was because I thought I was going to hang out with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And then it never happened.
Yeah.
And even my dog, when he's like, "Let's go outside," we'll go outside for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
He's like, "Okay, I'm done." We'll come back inside, and then he'll wait another 20 minutes, and then be like, "Okay, now I want to go back out again." And I'm like, "Why can't you stay out there longer than 10 minutes? And I'm like, "Well, I can't even do that, so I can't blame him for not wanting us to be out there for that long either."
I've started pouring a cup of water on my dog before, like, if we have to go out at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, like when it's balls hot. And he doesn't appreciate it, but I don't give a shit. So, anyway, we have a very weird podcast.
Yes.
Because we did have an event last week. We had the Capcom Next 2024, but it's nothing.
It wasn't really all that interesting.
It's not all that interesting. And then outside of that, the news last week was very weird. So I have no idea how this is going to go. But before we get to any of that weirdness, let's see. Michael, do you want to go first this week? What'd you watch? What'd you do? What'd you play? What'd you eat? What'd you smell?
I have two things I can talk about, but I'm going to talk about the thing I just finished doing.
Yeah.
Which is I watched the new Beverly Hills Cop movie.
Axel F.
Axel F.
Yeah.
Which I remember they announced it a while ago, and I was like, I don't know how to feel because, you know, Eddie Murphy is not always, like, he's made weird decisions when it comes to movie making for a very long time.
Yeah.
But I was like, but you know what? I love Beverly Hills Cop as a series. The only one I don't really like that much is like 3, but I don't know anyone who really likes 3 that much. And so I was like, you know what? I'll give it a shot. And the all the trailers made me like, I was like, this could be fun at least. And so I watched it, and it's great. Or at least to me, it's great. Like, because it's as good as like Beverly Hills Cop 2 was, kind of thing. And where Beverly Hills Cop 2 had like a lot of heavy story stuff going on in it. And it has some similar ideas with it, but it's about Axel. You know, he's been a cop forever. He's still a cop in Detroit. Everyone thinks he's kind of a crazy person because he's the guy. It's Axel Foley, and he's the kind of guy who will steal a snowmobile or a snowplow to chase people who are driving ATVs in the streets of Detroit,
right?
Like a crazy person.
Well, okay, so I guess the question is, and I know that a lot of times this is why I have stopped watching the movies that I want to watch, and I've started going all score because I got tired of doing the same movie review every week. But like, was it good?
No, I loved it.
Okay,
I actually like, because the thing is, everybody's exactly the way you expect them to be in the film. Like, it's not a movie where you're like, that guy's out of character, that guy's out of character.
Yeah,
there's one guy who's kind of out of character, but it's the kind of thing. It's the kind of thing where like I get why that guy's out of character, and then eventually, you know, they understand that they've done something wrong, and then they, you know, everything moves on from there. Like, and it still has the issue with a lot of these sequels do, though, where they're like, you remember this thing, you remember this thing. And I'm like, okay, fine, because some of it's not egregious when it comes to like the way the plot plays out. and it ends up working out really well. And Eddie Murphy is fantastic in it. He's really funny. He's charming again. He has very like serious, sweet moments because part of the plot is that he is estranged with his daughter, and he needs to figure out what happened to Judge Reinhold's character because he disappeared while helping his daughter out with something. And so him and his daughter just need to figure out, what crazy conspiracy is going on in Beverly Hills.
So it sounds like it's like the verdict is like, it's pretty good. If what you want is more Beverly Hills Cop, it's got you covered.
Exactly.
That kind of thing.
It's an 80s movie made in this day and age is really what it is, like straight up, to the point where you're like, where did they get this 80s plot from? Like, it's the kind of plot that would have been in a lot of those cop ones where like, there's a conspiracy going on and who knows how high it goes up kind of thing.
Right.
And you're like, this is so many other movies, but I have no qualms with that.
My biggest question is there a scene where Axel gets chewed out by the police commissioner because the mayor's going to have my ass?
Yes, kind of.
Okay.
Like, it happens kind of early on with Paul Reiser because he catches a cop and he's just like, I just got yelled at for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Fully. Like, come on, dude.
I have a dreadful secret involving Beverly Hills Cop.
What's that?
That is that like Beverly Hills Cop and Lethal Weapon, I'm not like a big super fan of those. Like, I've seen most of them.
That's fine.
But like, I feel like a lot of people have a lot of reverence for, especially like Lethal Weapon. And I'm just like, I think I watched it and I was like, well, that was good. I don't need to watch it again ever. I think Lethal Weapon 1 I've seen more than once, but like the rest of them, I think I've watched one time and I was just like, that was fine.
A lot of these have the same issues. A lot of these. I'm going to use franchises with quotey fingers.
Yeah.
Because 80s movie franchises were just like, this made a lot of money, so we're just going to keep making them.
Right.
And so Lethal Weapon 1 and Beverly Hills Cop 1 are like considered classics because they're so perfect at what they did with what they had.
Sure.
And then every sequel after that's like, but what if we tried it again?
Right.
And it just doesn't work exactly the same each time. But it just kept making money and they just kept making more of them.
Yeah.
And so that's what Beverly Hills Cop is. Like, it's one of those ones where like I don't run around seeing people LARPing as Axel Foley all the time.
Sure.
The way you say Star Wars people.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a comedy series.
I don't feel like he had like a catchphrase.
Not really.
He had the laugh, I guess.
He has a song.
And then there's the
song is his.
The instrumental song. Like,
yeah, and don't get me wrong, they use it a lot in that movie. They remix it a couple times. But that's the thing he's known for. But also, a lot of people now tie that to not even him, ironically enough, which I think is really funny because people think it's because I keep seeing comments on like the YouTube video for like the theme. People be like, I thought this was a song by a frog. Because that fucking Crazy Frog old ringtone commercials. He's like a blue frog in like a motorcycle helmet.
Sort of remember what you're talking about.
If you look up Axel F Axel Foley right now, you'll literally see he'll be one of the top three things. Go down a little bit. Or he used to be. You just go up a theme real quick.
Yeah.
And you might get him real quick.
Okay, that's interesting. Let's see.
God, we just saw it a second ago, which is the funny thing. There it is.
Crazy Frog.
Crazy Frog.
Okay.
So Crazy Frog basically not stole it per se. They did it for like a
sampled it for like a Euro.
No, it's just the song.
Oh, it's just the song.
It's just the song.
They just
like,
made this
with
weird...
some weird frog over it being like nah, 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 or some shit like that.
Okay.
And they used it for like ringtone shit for like ever.
Okay.
And so it's just so there's so many like younger people who for some reason think only this fucking thing, and it confuses me. I remember when it first happened, I was like, what is this random bullshit? It's like, you want to get this ringtone, call this number.
Yeah.
And it's just fucking Axel Foley with a frog over it.
And now it's funny because you talk about young people that only know that, but like the only people who know about purchasing ringtones are now old themselves.
That's
true.
Like
actual young people have no idea what the fuck purchasing a ringtone is all about.
My favorite thing people think about when they think of the song is when Peter went back in time in Family Guy.
Oh yeah,
and he starts dancing to it.
Yeah,
he sings it. It's like,
yeah.
I love that. That gag still gets me every time. But no, it's a great movie. It's not very long. Or at least it didn't feel that long to me. And everybody feels great in it.
Okay.
And I think it's the best thing Eddie Murphy has made in quite some time. So.
Well, on my looking up scores for stuff, I watched a series on Netflix last week called Supacell, which is a British show. It's like 6 1-hour episodes, and it's about a bunch of people in London who all kind of discover that they have superpowers in one way or another. But the kind of difference here is that they're all black, and it specifically ties into like why they have superpowers.
Oh, why they specifically are the ones who have superpowers?
Yeah, and so it's like this delivery guy and like and this is the first episode is kind of the main guy. He ends up going to like he has the ability to kind of teleport, but he also has the ability to manipulate time, and he accidentally like goes to the future and sees he meets himself in the future who tells him like you gotta fucking do something about your kids, Marty. Like he tells him like you gotta go back and do some stuff, and you gotta like get this group together because there's like bad shit that's gonna happen, and like you guys need to help protect yourselves. And so he goes back, and it's all about him. Like it follows all these different characters. Again, it's a delivery guy. There's like a gang leader. One of them is a nurse. One of them is like an ex-con. And one of them is like a drug dealer.
Okay.
And they all have different powers. And it's like, I think on like Rotten Tomatoes, it was like the critic score was like 100. And I'm like, okay, guys, let's not like the user score was more like 85. And I think that's more like that. We're like, I was thinking before, you remember back in the old days, we got to get to the news, but you remember back in the old days, it used to be that it was like in the 90s and early 2000s, you would get stuff that was filmed in Britain, right?
Yeah.
Though you get like BBC stuff, and the acting was great because they had all the fucking thespians over there and shit, right? Like they got fucking, they could go to acting school and on the Queen's dime or whatever, however the fuck it works over there. You had all these great actors, but then like the special effects were dog shit. Like the CGI was terrible. The costumes were like, period costumes. Fine, open your closet and pull out fucking your chimney sweep costume you inherited from your grandfather or whatever.
They're like in thrift stores
right.
for like nothing.
Right, and like the city of London, which has all this kind of really cool stuff to film around, but like the special effects were kind of bad. What I noticed about this was that the special effects were all really good, and the character powers are very like, this guy teleports. This guy's strong. This guy can turn invisible. This guy runs real fast. These are all very easy to do in Adobe After Effects.
Yeah.
But I found that at six episodes, it was really easy to binge. It wasn't one of these like
episodes?
12 episode things. Yeah. It was set up for a season 2. There were a few actors that were but for the most part, I'm not as sensitive to that as other people. Like I saw people online complaining about like this person can't act at all, and I'm like, if you're giving me like 60%, I'm here for the fucking show, man. Like I'm buying in. But it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I mean, like the thing is, if you got Netflix, like again, I don't feel like I've said a thing. I don't know how many franchises are out there where I would say you need to go get this streaming platform to watch it outside of season 2 of Smiling Friends, which you need to go get Max and watch and then cancel your subscription. But if you already have Netflix and you're just looking for something to watch, like you can do worse. You can watch half of the first episode, and then here's the secret. I haven't reminded everybody of the streaming secret in a long time. Hey, if you get 20 minutes into this show and you're bored, turn it off and go watch Axel F. Like,
there's a lot of other things on there you can watch.
You know what they've got on Netflix? Demon Slayer. Go watch that. Like, you could go watch Umbrella Academy is like, So it's like, you can see in the trailer, it's like the special effects aren't blowing anybody's socks off, but it's more about the characters. And it was an interesting, like, this isn't tied to another franchise. And it's the strongest thing in superhero storytelling is I suddenly found myself with superpowers. What am I to do about it? Yeah. Like that's always a very strong arc. Now, if it could end up totally tanking in season 2, if it even gets to season 2, and if it's just like canceled.
Who knows if this is actually like a Netflix produced thing or if it's something that they made overseas and then just gave to Netflix.
I think that it was. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I don't think it's a BBC production, but I think it's got some kind of like UK film thing, but then that Netflix picked up distribution on it, because I was looking for that. I was like, was this a BBC show that then got picked up by Netflix? And it was like, I couldn't find that online. But
you can't tell with a lot of shows on Netflix nowadays. I remember the joke used to be that if you had a show, Netflix would just give you a show, kind of thing. But like eventually Netflix is like, we spent a lot of money for doing that, and so they've been a lot more not precise, but like they've canceled more things than not nowadays. So that's why that could go either way, is really the issue.
Curious if they got now they don't have the new arc on Demon Slayer. All right, enough of that. We gotta talk about video games. We got stuff to get to.
Yes.
So Capcom Next 2024. It's funny. I think last week I was complaining about like, why the hell didn't Capcom why wasn't this Dead Rising remaster announced at Summer Games Fest?
It's very strange, yes.
And also, why wasn't the Beyond Good and Evil remake in the Ubisoft presser for Summer Games Fest? Like, I don't understand what's going on here all that much, but whatever.
What's weird about the Beyond Good and Evil one is that I feel like it leaked before that.
Yeah.
And then they just released it randomly.
It was a terrible secret, and they even tweeted it like 4 days early, and then they deleted their tweet, and it was like, everybody already knows this is happening, you guys. Like,
and then you didn't actually tell anybody still afterwards?
Right.
Because I remember when I came over to do it with you, I was like, this came out?
Yeah.
Like, I had no fucking idea.
So anyway, it started with, basically there's like 3 things in this, maybe 3.5 if you're being generous, but they started out with some more footage of Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess. One of the things they announced for this was a demo.
Yes.
I played that demo. I don't think this game is very interesting. I saw a news article that was like, could Kunitsugami be the sleeper hit of the summer? And I was like, not bloody fucking likely. I like... it's just exactly what it says on the box. Like, it's a tower defense thing where you've got a phase during the day where you're collecting resources and assigning these guys to specific locations, and then at night these demons come out and you can fight them. You kind of got an isometric action, and like, that's fine, I guess, but it's just tower defense. I feel like we as a gaming society are over tower defense, at least as a core game mechanic, like maybe as a mini game, but like not as a full game, you guys. Well, like
the tower defense games just didn't, even when they were popular, not a lot of them ended up working. Like, one of the most popular games right now started out as a tower defense game, and then nobody cared for it, which was Fortnite.
Oh yeah, Fortnite.
Fortnite was a tower defense game. Like, this whole game's going to be fantastic. People love tower defense, and everyone's going to love Fortnite. And then I remember you guys played it, and other people played it, and you're like, it's a game, I guess. Like, it's not all that interesting. And even they're like, oh, no one gives a shit about tower defense.
Right.
So, like, what makes people think now is the time to strike while the iron is not only not hot, it's solidified.
It's so cold.
Yeah, it's the coldest it's ever been. In fact, it's rusted over, and they're like, this is the perfect time.
You know what it feels like is there's a thing that I get, there's an impression that I get from Capcom where it's like, everybody asks Capcom for specific things, right? They want something. Like, people are like, you know what I love? Dino Crisis. Capcom, give me Dino Crisis. I want Dino Crisis. I want Dino Crisis 4. And they're like, here's Exoprimal. I'm like, that's not what I asked for. I didn't want Stu.
It's the grandma that doesn't understand the difference. Right. Where you're like, I really like Spider-Man. And they're like, I got you the Spider-Mans. And it's just this... It's a spider who's a person. And you're like, what? I don't what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. And it's like, well, no, we want Okami. We want more Okami. And it's like, or more Onimusha, maybe. Yeah. And it's like, well, what about a tower defense game that kind of looks like a cross between Onimusha and Okami? And it's like, no, I didn't want that. I wanted an action.
I wanted Okami. We heard you, and now we put Okami stuff in the game.
Right.
Like, what?
Right. Like, we made the lady in Exoprimal look like the main character from Dino Crisis.
Kind of.
It's like,
and you're like,
why?
Like, can I get anything else in there that, might be related to another Capcom game? They're like, we heard you. Now there's Street Fighter skins in Exoprimal.
Right.
And you're just like, God damn it.
So, I don't know. They showed this off, and I think that, like, it's got very, like, okay, I will say some nice things. It has got very good visuals. I only played the first level of the demo, and that showed me what the game was, and I was like, I don't know if I want to play any more of this, especially because it comes out in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's not very far from now. Like, it's great for somebody who wants to play it to see if they want to buy it.
Yeah.
You're going to buy it either way.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Well,
it doesn't make sense for us to do right now.
It's on Game Pass, right? It's going to be on Game Pass.
I don't remember.
I thought it was going to be on Game Pass, but I could be wrong. The visuals are very nice. I like the design. Everything is real fucking weird looking. Everything is weird looking.
Yeah, I actually really like the designs, like especially because they are weird as shit looking.
Yeah.
But then they were like, it's a tower defense game, by the way. And I'm like, well, no, I don't fucking care.
Right. And as you mentioned, they are having an Okami crossover. It's not like you get to play as the wolf or anything, Amaterasu.
You don't even hear, like, there's nothing that, even when they show off what it is, I'm like, I don't understand.
It's like the pants, I guess, kind of have
it's the color, I guess.
The symbol that's on the back of Amaterasu, and something about the lady. That's some reference to something. I'm not a big Okami guy, so I don't even know. Matt could probably tell you better than I could.
But I heard some of the music's in there too.
Yeah, and then apparently though, there's a weird thing where it's like if everybody plays the demo and gets 1 billion total crystals, which these are just, they fall all the time. They're like the currency of the game. And then uncover 15 lucky mallets. Then when the game comes out, these skins will be free. You don't have to pay for them. They'll just be included with the game when it releases,
I guess.
And it's like, are you trying to force people to grind the demo?
I think that's what they're trying to do.
Like, I can't think of anything that would make me want to play a demo less than that.
It's such a weird thing to do, especially for a new IP.
Yeah.
Like, force you to play a game that you're not even sure you're going to buy.
Right.
To get free stuff.
Yeah, they had some pre-order bonuses. I don't know. I think it's just like, I was kind of interested in the the art style and stuff, and I was interested to see if it was going to do, like, they showed off the core game, and then it was like, okay, well then how does this core game evolve? And it seems like it's just like, well, more guys and it gets harder or something. And I'm like, well, from there we got a bunch of information about the Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. Michael, do you want a quick 5 on how you don't like the way that Frank looks?
I don't like Frank's look. He looks, I don't know the best way of putting it. Outside, it looks like somebody hit him in the face with a chair. And also, like, fucked with his hair quite a bit.
Yeah.
And and his nose looks massive. I don't know what it is. Like, it looks like somebody broke his nose. It's so strange.
You got some real Tommy Lee Jones melted candle action going on.
Yeah, like the game look itself looks fine. Like, yeah, look at like there and then there. Those are two completely different people.
Michael, men have wrinkles on their face. Okay, I don't know about your masculine beauty standards over here.
It's like the equivalent of like they recasted fucking Frank West. Oh, so they did recast Frank West.
Yeah, like
it's no longer his original voice, which is the other issue I have with the game. Like, I don't even think they bothered asking him. Apparently, is the theory going on right now.
So we found out that this is not technically, I don't know, man. They're really splitting some hairs here between the like, no, this is a deluxe remaster, because apparently the whole thing is that they're trying to keep it as close to the original as far as feel as possible, just making the graphics better, the controls a little bit better, doing some quality of life adjustments, keeping the frame rate. You know, they're shooting for 4K 60 FPS. They've redone a lot of the character models so the zombies look better, but I think they're trying to still keep, like, a lot of the screenshots they have, they still have that dumbass goofy yellow square health bar. It's like, why? That was horrible.
It's very strange. But I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to do what Resident Evil 4 did.
Yeah.
Which is like, this is the same game, but there's so many things in it that feel different enough that it justifies its existence.
Like I said, you can aim and move at the same time, which apparently you couldn't do in the first one. And there's some other just quality of life stuff. I don't know. Like,
it's covered wars, you know.
It's a war photographer.
That's my favorite meme that came out of Frank West for like years.
Yeah,
people would just be like, "He's covered wars," you know.
There's a bunch of new languages, a bunch of subtitled languages. Yeah, they also. I mean, I think they've changed. The thing is that it's like they say. This is the problem that I keep having is the nitpicking of deluxe remaster, where they're like, okay, we're all in agreement, right? A remaster is a 1-to-1. It's the same game, but it looks better.
Yeah, usually.
A remake is when you redo the game and you change the mechanics to change it, right? RE4 remake was a remake because it had like stealth and some weird ducking mechanics and some other stuff that wasn't in the original game.
A lot of them are built up from the ground up, like the Dead Space remake.
Right,
is a great example of that because it wasn't just the same game essentially.
Yeah, but see, the thing here is that like they are changing the mechanics of this game. Like you were telling me about, there's like this. Like they added stairs where there used to be like a ledge that was hard to get up onto. They show a thing in this trailer where it's like Frank is blocking shots by holding a barrel in front of him that seems to indicate was new. You can move and aim at the same time. Like these seem to be core gameplay changes. So this is a remake. Like it's built on the bones of the old game, but I don't think that's a distinction with a difference. Like it's just, it's a remake. Like deluxe remaster. I mean, maybe this is a thing that will continue to happen. I mean, now conceptually, let me just say, conceptually, I think there are a lot of people out there who would prefer that when games do get re-released, that they get this same style of treatment where it's like, I just want you to make it look better, clean up a little bit of the controls, maybe add like a mechanic or two that changes the game in a takes care of a thing that everybody was irritated with, and that's it. And that's all I want you to do. Like, I want you to not try to touch it as much as possible. So maybe this is the first in a new trend of deluxe remakes that...
Well, it's not the first of its kind. It's just it's the first of its kind that's a not even a remaster per se. It's the closest in between, like you said, where they changed enough of it that it is still different.
Yeah.
Because the last time this kind of happened, or the very first time I would call something a deluxe remaster, was when Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary came out.
Oh, right.
Because they redid every visual in that entire game, but it was still the same game. Like, I didn't play any differently. Same with, we did Medieval, I think they just called it Medieval PS4, right? Where they remade that one. Technically is a remake too because they remade everything, but it still played like an old PS1 game.
I guess maybe the question is like if your game could support the ability to hit one button and then just revert to the old game and it would feel exactly the same, because I know that was in the Master Chief Collection, the way the Halo ones, you can go back and forth, where it's like that would be technically a deluxe remake.
Yeah, to me that's a deluxe. To me, like that's the deluxest of all remasters. Right, is a game you're like, man, this looks fucking gorgeous, but if at the strike of a button, I can just look, it looks exactly the same. Right, which shows how little changes they legitimately did. Okay. And where this is like, yeah, no, you're right. This is just a remake, and they just don't want to say it out loud, and I think that's very strange.
Yeah. I had to mention really briefly that this presentation has this weird coy thing where they're interviewing the developers and they're just like, we couldn't get anything out of Takeda-san, but Harada was willing to fucking give us the inside scoop. Let's go over to, and I'm like,
we kidnapped his daughter and he's going to tell us stuff about it. Like,
what? So I mean, like, I don't know if I actually went over this last week when they did the teaser, because I think Bryce and I were in lightning round when it came to that, because we go on everybody. I was going on for too long. I'm all in favor of this. I'm very excited to play this. Like, I like Dead Rising, and the first one was one that I played the remake, and when it originally came out, I didn't really have a 360, and then the remake, it took me a little while, but I finally kind of gelled with it. Okay. I'm wondering if the timer thing, I think once I got over the idea that like you can restart Dead Rising with all of your knowledge and all of your upgrades, and just tear ass through it, and it's not that big a deal. Like,
well, the thing is, like, it's one of those games that's like, if you do everything perfectly, you get the actual, like, this should be the legitimate ending kind of thing. Right. And that was the reason I never was like super into it, because I'm like, well, I want the good ending, but your AI is dumb as shit, and I have like 24 hours to make this shit work. Yeah. And I don't feel like fighting the clock that much.
I think it was better. I liked the clock better in Dead Rising 1 than I did in 2, where you had to get the Zombrex doses for your daughter, or else she died. Like, I still think 3
my
is
favorite webcomic I've ever seen for 2. He's like, "Don't worry, honey, I love you. I'm gonna make sure I get that Zombrex," and it cuts to him wearing like a low cut top, riding a unicycle with like a stupid hat on. He's like, "Wee."
I think 3 is the favorite of the ones that I've done, but I think it's because I didn't have like big nostalgia boners for the first one.
3 ever come out outside of the Xbox?
I don't think so.
That was the weird thing about 3. It was an Xbox exclusive. And
it was like a launch?
Yeah, it was a launch Xbox One game. And I don't know anyone who actually played that game outside of like a handful of people.
I did.
Because nobody bought the Xbox One.
Oh, no, it's on Steam.
Okay.
It's on Steam.
Okay, good for them. Was it on any other consoles as well?
I don't think it made its way to any other consoles, but let's see. Wiki says Xbox One
No,
and
never did.
Windows.
That's legitimately surprising.
Came out a year later on Windows. It was 2013, November 2013 for Xbox One, September 2014 for Steam, and that's all that it was.
Honestly, Capcom, I'm amazed you've never re-released that game.
I really like that game. Like, I think it's like it doesn't have the timer. It's got like so many empowering ways to murder zombies. The psycho fights are really fun. I like the setting and the characters a lot. I like the main character a lot.
I remember people hated 4 when it came out.
Yeah, 4 was when it went back to Frank.
Yeah, I went back to Frank. I think they went to a different actor. I don't know if it's the actor they used for the remake now. But I remember the issue was that like people were like, this doesn't feel like Frank at all.
Right.
Like he felt like a completely different character, and that was very strange of them to do.
Yeah. It was 2017. It was like, there's like I'm on the trailer for the Street Fighter and Beautiful Joe pack.
Okay. Just all these other outfits.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a lot more like serious, right? It's like Frank's getting to the bottom of like how the zombie stuff like started in the first place.
I think so. Yeah. And he was also like really bitter. About stuff, and it was very strange. Like it wasn't Frank. It didn't feel like Frank from any of the other games.
Was there a 5 as well?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I know they did something very interesting though. They remade
like
part 2
expansion.
Yeah, they did the strangest thing, was they remade part 2. But what if the main character was Frank instead?
Oh, right.
And I don't know any other games that have done that.
Yeah,
it's like if you remade Metal Gear Solid 2 and Raiden didn't exist, and I think that's fascinating.
Or if you remade Metal Gear Solid 2 and you got to play as Snake on the Big Shell, which was teased in the trailer for Metal Gear Solid 2.
It was. You can
assholes.
They did something with what was it?
Snake Tails.
Snake Tails. That's
Fuck
the only
that.
other thing.
God damn it.
That's the only time we got to do that. But yeah, that's what it was, and it was very interesting that they even did that.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, if it's a choice between, you know what? Who needs to go down that road? I'm excited to play this. I like Dead Rising. This looks like a fine remake. I'll play it.
Yeah.
You know, I got no problems with it.
I hope it does well.
Yeah.
I hope. I feel like Dead Rising is a series that has a shit ton of potential that they just didn't seem to know how to market past 2. Which is strange because the Xbox One Dead Rising 3, like I said, I don't think it took off the way it should have.
I don't think it did either. And I genuinely think, maybe I should go back and play it at some point and do like a video on it or something. But like, I genuinely think Dead Rising 3 is like one of those underappreciated classics. I've actually considered it for like a sequential at some point of just like, motherfuckers, there's nothing like. I think the big thing is that people like the Xbox One got so fucked pre-release
100%.
that it never, like, once the window had passed and then Dead Rising 4 came out and everybody's like, well, Dead Rising sucks now, and it's like, well, did you play 3? No, I played 2 and then I played 4 and then I said this franchise is garbage. It's like, no, the 3 is great.
Yeah. And now I have confirmation that 3 never escaped the Xbox ecosystem.
Yep. It's like Dead Rising Dead Island 2. No, what's the one that I like that came out last year? Dead Island 2.
Dead Island 2, yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out where you're going.
Yeah.
So you're talking about Dead Rising still?
No, I keep running into people that are just like, the game rules. It rules so hard.
It was a lot of fun. Or at least people said it was. I never played it. I meant to. But they took it off of Game Pass, I think.
Yeah.
But Dead Rising is a strange one because Dead Rising has more than like the 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just strange because it's Dead Rising 2. There was a DLC in the middle of Dead Rising 1 and 2.
Right. There's a prequel for 2.
And then there's Case West. And then there was, I don't even remember what the remake of 2 was called. Frank's Day Out or some shit. I don't remember what it's called.
Big Day.
It's Frank something.
Something.
And then they made 3, of course.
Yep.
And then there's 4. And it was like weird. It's like, what is happening? And then it got a weird movie on Crackle
or a series,
and they got Rob Riggle to play Frank West in it.
Yeah,
but he's not even in the movie for very long. It's a shame. It's a weird fucking.
It's a weird.
Dead Rising is a strange franchise. Is really what it comes out to.
And okay, let's just go through this pretty quick.
I went pretty far just to say that.
Resident Evil 7 is going to be out on the iPhones.
I don't know why somebody would do such a thing.
They already put Resident Evil Village and Resident Evil 4 Remake on iPhones. Apparently, the new iPhones can run these Resident Evil games. They're strong enough. I'm like, who the fuck wants to play? I don't want to play Resident Evil on an iPhone or an iPad. Like, just full stop. Maybe somebody wants to do that. I don't want to do that.
It's a weird thing to want to do, especially if you've already played them a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And if it's the first time you're ever playing it, that battery life is not going to last very long.
Also, you want to do it on a big-ass TV with all the lights turned off in a spooky fucking room.
That was one of my favorite things where somebody's like, look at all this stuff I could do without a console. And it was like a phone connected to like a bunch of shit to make it be on like a big screen. You're like, I could have just bought a console in the game for like cheap and like, would have avoided all this shit you've just done.
They show this really weird thing where like, I don't know if you watched this part, but like in RE7, because the touchscreen controls are so terrible, they now have a mode called auto fire, where like if you just put the cursor over an enemy, this little ring quickly closes, and then it just auto fires your gun.
Oh.
Like you don't have to hit the trigger at all; it just does it automatically.
That seems like an annoying pain in my ass.
Right? Like look at this phone. Look at how much of this phone screen is taken up with controller. Bullshit. I don't know. You kids and your cell phone telephones. I don't want to play games on my cell phone telephone. I want to play them on my giant TV with a controller.
If I'm playing a game on my cell phone, that game was A, designed for that phone.
Yeah.
Or B, it's a ROM of a Nintendo game.
or like. The other thing is that phones are smaller than the Nintendo Switch. Like, I will play a game on the Switch, but cell phones usually are smaller than that, and iPads are too big to attach controller mods to the side. Anyway, this isn't for me. This is for somebody. I hope you have all the best fun in the world. I recommend that you play Resident Evil 7 at your house on a television, or
God intended, wearing a VR
headset
in the dark with a friend who wants to fuck with you.
So you can get Mia throwing y'all around, and you get the shit spooked out of you. So I think that's kind
of all it was.
Well, there was and then there at the end, the guy that made RE7 came out and said, We're in development on RE9.
Oh yeah, that's
like
all
he
it
very
was,
briefly came out and just said, "Yes, we are making RE9." He said, "I didn't have, I didn't have an idea, but then I got an idea, and so we're currently working on making an RE9." This kind of reminds me of when Resident Evil Village came out, and they had that E3/Summer Games Fest where they were just like, we're making DLC for it. Everyone was like, what is it? And it's like, I don't know. We'll talk to you later.
Who knows? Look at the time. I gotta go.
Yeah.
It's going to be about how Chris trains to punch boulders over and over again.
Yep.
So he can punch the newest Gianto boulder. That's a zombie boulder.
So that was it. Also, there's like a sale, I guess, on Steam.
Okay.
There's a bit of there's like some kind of Steam sale. There's the demo for stuff. Yada yada yada. I mean, it's very like, okay, you put out the demo. You put out the demo for one game that I wasn't all that interested in, that confirmed I wasn't as interested in that game. Yeah. And you talked a lot about a remake of an old game and putting games on cell phones. So, like, I don't understand why they didn't do, like, why did they spend so much time harping on the phone stuff? Throw in, you know what I would have loved to have seen more of, Michael? That fucking Miles Edgeworth Ace Attorney game.
Oh, yeah.
You could have made a whole fucking sizzle reel on that about just like, go interview that guy in a dark room and put his face up on because bring your dry ice over to the Phoenix Wright Studios and like.
My favorite thing about the Miles Edgeworth, I'm just going to talk about the Miles Edgeworth game for a quick second. My favorite thing about the Miles Edgeworth game is if you've played every single Ace Attorney game.
Yep.
Of the original ones, at least, each game is about like how our hero has like a special magical thing that they can do. Like Phoenix is given the magical Magada or whatever it's called by by
Magnetama or whatever
that you can find a person's lie and use evidence to unlock it. And you have Apollo Justice who can see the tiniest ticks using magic.
Yeah.
And you have Athena with her weird emotion machine thingy. And then you get to Miles and he's like, I have the greatest power of all, logic. He's like, what logically happened that caused this? That's right, you're a fuck up. That's what it is. And it cracks me up because it's just like the one time he's given the magical item at the end, like when you do the last case of 3, he's like, what is this bullshit? Like, is this what Phoenix has been up to? Like, this is no wonder I keep losing to fucking magic bullshit.
I didn't know I was going up against Merlin.
Yeah. Like, I'm a really good lawyer. That's all. Like, you all suck at this.
Yeah.
And like, that's the funny thing about his games. Like, and he's more private detective-y in those games. Those games are that game is fantastic. You guys need to play the Miles Edgeworth game.
Well, they aren't out yet. We'll play them when they come out.
I'm telling the audience, buy that Miles Edgeworth game.
You know what though? It's like, I think you and I briefly maybe touched on it, but it's really exciting that at some point there's going to be some box set that you can buy that has every single Ace Attorney game in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the throwback ones and the Miles Edgeworth stuff, all remastered, all deluxe edition, all in the same box.
Exactly. Like every Capcom made
and Ghost Trick
game is on there. It's going to be on there now. Or on something now.
Yeah.
The only thing outside of it now is our not super obscure. Like there's just things that he's in. Which is
Layton versus
Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright, which is stupid hard to buy now because the 3DS store is gone.
Sure.
And the physical copies were already really expensive, which I regret getting rid of mine years ago. I should have kept mine. And then of course there's Project Cross Zone. Those the 1 and 2.
Oh right.
But that's like an RPG and he's just the character that happens to be in it.
What was the thing? What was the 3DS game that they just put out? That I just did videos on? I just did videos on. What was it?
Sorry, I was Luigi's Mansion.
Luigi's Mansion 2. Yeah. I'm hoping that as they run out of stuff, that they'll start doing more 3DS remakes, because I never in a million years thought that Ghost Trick would ever be anywhere that I could play it ever again.
No,
I just did not think that was going to be a thing, and then it totally is. So, boom.
Like some of those games were locked to either the 3DS or the phones for some reason.
Yep.
And I'm happy they've escaped those. And yeah, I hope that the 3DS versions of a lot of other games will finally get out. Also, I hope now that they're out of Phoenix Wright games to put on other things, that they'll make a new one. Like, come on, guys! Like, I've been waiting. I'm here. Make another Miles Edgeworth game. I'll play that game.
You know what? I would be happy with. This is a bold statement, but I think I can stand. But I think I'm stand beside it. You could quiz me. I think I'm pretty good. Whatever old Capcom franchise they want to bring back, I think I'm cool with it. Yeah. Like Darksiders, I'm cool with it. Like in new Ace Attorney games, I'm cool with that. Like,
Capcom needs to. Capcom has such a large library.
Bionic Commando, I'm cool with that.
If they could resurrect them, people would pay so much for them.
Mega Man, and I loved that 3D Mega Man that they put out.
11 was really good.
I would love another one of those.
They remastered a lot of their games now, though.
Yeah, they're not as like there was a time for 5 years where all they did was remaster games.
Yeah. And I bought damn near every one of them.
Devil May Cry 6, I would, but yeah, I'd buy that. I know you would.
No, of course I would. Why would I not buy that?
But Capcom, if you want to do anything, actually, though I think Capcom is too mean about this, because they did put out a tweet on July 1st that was like the bloody claw from the front of Dino Crisis, and it was like, happy, what is it, like 30th anniversary Dino, or 25th anniversary Dino Crisis. Hey, and everybody's like, why must you toy with me, Capcom? Yeah. Why must you do this?
What does that mean? Like, why would you say such a thing?
Yeah.
Why would you do this?
Why would you acknowledge it?
You're going to give me something, right? Yeah, we heard you. Exo Primal. God damn it.
Skids for Exo Primal.
I would punch a wall if I heard that, by the way.
Yeah.
And I own my house now, so I'd have to pay for that whole...
Yeah, so I don't know, man. Capcom, you know what, though? Okay, we're going to take a break in just a second. Before we take a break, though, I want to just rewind, or no, I don't want to rewind. I want to criticize 5 minutes ago, Jeff, and be like, listen, 5 minutes ago, Jeff, you yourself have been saying for all of this year, this is going to be a dip of a year, because we already had all the big, huge franchise tentpole releases last year.
No.
We got an amazing remake of RE4 that I didn't even think would be possible last year. And so you're going to have, this is the lull year where Capcom's thing is going to be like, we remade Dead Rising and here's a remaster of a Phoenix Wright game. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'll wait to see what you do next, Capcom.
I'll see what your plans are, your inevitable plans.
I'll see you in 2025 and we can get hyped again. But you don't have to wait until 2025 for more RageSelect podcasts, because we're going to take a break with them. We're going to be right back with more. We'll see you then. And we're back. And it's time for... I'm gonna put the news in quotey fingers this week. It's a weird bunch of stories. I get the impression that, every time I'm like, oh, there's not that much news, we can stretch this out, and then I'm like, oh shit, we're out of time. It's lightning round, so let's just get going and we'll see what happens.
Maybe we'll tell you about my grandkids.
Michael, Team Fortress 2 is back.
I saw this.
Team Fortress 2 is back. There's new Team Fortress 2 content in Funko Fusion.
Yeah.
In Funko Fusion.
People were so mad about this.
Yep. It's not even all of the characters. It's like the scout, the medic, the heavy, and it was like one
I
other.
I want to say it's the spy, but I don't remember.
Yeah. Oh, the engineer.
Okay.
Like, God, this game is like. it's killing me. I hate it so much.
No, it's the weirdest. I didn't even see that pre-order thing. It's the weirdest attempt at a game I've seen in quite some time.
Yeah.
Like
the crossover, the properties are not like are you telling me that I can play as the scout from Team Fortress 2 in the Nope level? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, the thing is, when you say it like that, it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
The problem is they're Funko Pops.
Well, there's that.
That's the actual issue I have.
They're ugly as shit.
It's like, because what I love about games and stuff like that is when they do make weird ass crossovers.
Yeah.
But when they're fun. Like when they look like each other, that's why I love Project Cross Zone so much. It's like you'll play a game where Phoenix Wright's hanging out with Jin Kazama,
right? And
they have to meet Kiryu from Yakuza, so they can go make sure they beat up Red Riding Hood from Darkstalkers.
Right.
Like that's awesome because they all look like each other. Mm-hmm. These are dead-eyed Funko Pops. By default, I don't like looking at them.
This shit was done.
But now I have to play a game about them.
This shit was done 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It's already the franchise. The novelty of this shit has worn off long ago.
There are whole conventions that have signs that are like, you're not allowed to sell these here.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys.
Yeah.
These are so bad. And nobody likes Funkos anymore.
Yeah.
It's just the fact.
I don't know why they're doing. And the other thing is, this is DLC. It's not even included in the base game. It's going to be
is insane.
Okay. I suppose.
I don't understand. I don't know how they convinced anyone that this was a good idea.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I will play it. Probably.
I think they're just sloshing around a bunch of VC money to buy everything they can, every license that they can. But Call of Duty and Fortnite have all the first picks, right?
No.
So they've got to pick up all the also rans. It would be kind of cool if they put Team Fortress 2 skins in Fortnite.
I'd play that.
That'd be kind of cool, right?
I'd love to have that. Big old heavy, tiny hands.
Let's see. In other Team Fortress news, this is actually very good news. Valve finally got off their ass and they did a huge ban wave on the bots in Team Fortress 2. There was a whole campaign. I feel like the audience does campaigns from time to time that is hashtag fix save TF2 or whatever.
No.
And there was kind of a grassroots thing that started a few weeks back or a month ago or something like that.
You told me the most insane thing I'd ever heard, which is that the people making the bots are porn in your hashtags.
Right.
Horrific shit.
Yeah.
You're what the fuck?
They were using that hashtag and then putting CP and horror, gore videos and stuff in there to try to derail it. But yeah, it looks like they got results. The FAQ page on Steam basically changed to say that they're doing bans for botting, and this is my favorite part about this is like I love the fact that Steam is run by a bunch of fucking goofy nerds as opposed to like a corporate team. So they changed it to say Team Fortress 2 game bans are permanent, non-negotiable, and are not removed by Steam support.
Oh my god!
Like they basically said like. Where's the text here? Can you tell me why this was like from their FAQ. Can you tell me why I was game banned? No. Can I appeal my game ban? No. I was not using my account when it was game banned. Can the ban be removed? No.
It's a lot. It takes a lot of work to put that shit on your stuff.
Can I move my Team Fortress 2 items to a different account? No. like no, you get the fuck out of here and don't ever fucking come back.
Yeah,
like
this was you fucked up and we're not doing this about this.
Because and like the thing is that the botters pushed this to an insane level. They broke Team Fortress 2.
The game was unplayable.
Yeah, it was unplayable,
for all these
and
reasons.
Valve is a slow dinosaur when it comes to doing anything that you want them to do. But like, this was one of those things where, like, when they finally got off their butts, they were like, "Fucking Steve, can you take a week and fix this shit so the people stop tagging me on Twitter, for God's sake?"
Yeah, they were under a giant pile of money. It's like I can't hear the pores outside my giant pile of money.
Yeah,
and they started tweeting my phone, and I'm tired of hearing from the pores.
Yeah,
I need you to fix this.
They said that they banned something like 585 or something like that accounts. Let's see. 850 accounts were targeted, 250 receiving lifetime bans, and just under 100 VAC bans, and 131 community bans, and 4 game bans. So, what's going on over there, Michael?
Oh, it's the water.
The water has seeped into your shirt?
It's more of the shirt than I anticipated. You see this giant
Michael spilled some
splotch.
water. I turned around and Michael's just taking his shirt off. I didn't know it was that kind of podcast.
It's hot outside, Jeff.
I didn't realize we were doing topless RageSelect podcast today.
It's a new dawn.
It's a new paradigm. We're gonna get a lot new subscribers with this topless audio only podcast.
We're not doing bottoms only later. We'll do that next time. If the Patreon goes over 10,000, do bottoms only podcast.
Bottoms only podcast. Wait, what does that mean? That means you're only wearing pants? Bottomless podcast?
Bottomless, yes.
There's nothing.
Either one's fine.
Michael, everybody that knows there's nothing worse than like just a man wearing a t-shirt with no pants on it just to get the dingle.
We're Donald Ducking it, Jeff. That's what it is. We're just dressed like Donald Duck.
Nope. Anyway, the community, they were ecstatic about this. Like the fact that people were like, "Oh, I logged on and yep, that happened. It totally, the bots are gone. I can play this game." Somebody said they had to log on like 18 servers and they found like one bot instance.
Oh, so it just took them that long to find one.
Yeah, which is great. It's great this got resolved. It's like a happy ending for a thing. So
I'm happy for them because this has been years since anybody was able to play this game that is very beloved. It's not like it was a game from like a game no one's heard of kind of thing. Like it's not like it was like Drive or something that that's clearly there's newer versions of whatever that game is. This is Team Fortress 2. Yeah, they don't just make Team Fortress games willy nilly. Like this is all they have. Like.
It would be like if Counter-Strike was unplayable. Yeah. And you're just like, what are you guys doing? Fix it. Fix it, for God's sake.
Like, this is insane. Yeah, it's insane. It took them this long.
So, yeah. Good news for anybody who wants to play Team Fortress 2. Let's see. From there, this is kind of a weird story that I put on here because it was a slower week, but there's a big Esports World Cup that's happening in Saudi Arabia right now.
Oh.
And a lot of people are kind of trying to point out that this is the, what do they call it? The Arabian Public Investment Fund, which is that Saudi investment group.
Oh, okay.
That is like, there's been a lot of controversy about them investing in like golf and a few other places of basically taking money from a country that a lot of people have a lot of fundamental disagreements about their politics and about like the way that things are run. But they've got all this money, and so people will kind of put aside any consideration of like where this money is coming from.
It's the dump trunk of money joke where you're like, why did you do such things? Well, they drove back a dump trunk full of money,
right?
And my morals were like, no,
yeah,
let's I'm cool with this. Like, it's unfortunate that everybody kind of does have a price. I know people are like, I don't have a price for these things. I'm like, you do. You just don't know what it is yet.
Well, like for this one, we've got a story later about something that happened at a fighting game competition. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, but we'll get to it eventually.
Oh, yeah.
Where like the prize for that competition was like $500 or something like that.
It was a lot of money.
The prize money that investment fund put up for this was $60 million to be spread amongst all the events that are going on in here. The same thing happened with wrestling, right?
Yeah.
They had a bunch of wrestling stuff that happened in Saudi Arabia where people were like, you guys know that this is not a great place for like gay people or like
like half of your cast probably isn't allowed to do things.
Like there's a lot of problematic stuff. You see that I feel like it's similar to when we were complaining about Blizzard and China, right?
Oh, no, absolutely. The Saudi is the new Chinese money in a strange, even more, honestly, more upsetting way.
Yeah.
Because Saudi Arabia has a long laundry list of things that can be proven of what they've been doing. And then also the weird thing about Saudi Arabia is that everybody wants to look rich. This is I always thought the weirdest thing about them is that a lot of them will just take out giant chunks of loans and just never come back to Saudi Arabia because they owe people money.
Right.
Like there's have you ever heard of the car graveyard in their airport?
Yes,
it's
I
just
have.
A shit ton of, like, it's those people being like, I'm actually super rich, and they buy all these cars, and like, oh, it turns out I'm not rich and then they're like, oh, by the way, I'm not rich, but they know if they don't pay, they're completely fucked, so they just park it in this airport parking lot and then just fucking leave.
Right.
And so there's just
these parking
hundreds of cars full of like Ferraris and shit, $1 million cars, some of them in like fucking deep sand because the wind has just been blowing sand on them
because they've just been there
and they're just there and nobody wants to do anything to them. Yeah, it's like, what the fuck?
Anyway, it's of all the things in the world of all the pieces of gaming that could get involved with this, I feel like this article, this is a VG247 article that I'm reading off of. They make a really good point of saying, like, esports is in a really bad position right now
100%.
because it doesn't make very much money. And so the solution would be to rework how esports works to make it profitable, not take a huge outside investment to basically keep limping along at the current status quo.
Oh, if this was anything else, this would be the plot of a Tim Allen movie where somebody's just like, man, we're running out of money, and then Martin Short runs in. He's like, I found this great investment firm who's going to give us like a shit ton of money with no questions asked, and then it's going to cut and it's going to be somebody from the mafia.
Right.
Except in this instance, it's the Saudi Arabian government, and nobody seems to understand why this is a bad thing.
Yep. So I don't know. I'm not like incredibly perturbed because it is esports, and I like if all esports went away tomorrow, I'd be like, okay.
I don't think anybody would bat an eyelash. And the ones that would stick around were the ones that were already like full of people who didn't care about the money to begin with. Like you said, that fighting like some of the largest fighting game tournaments in the world, their highest prizes were like at most $1,500. Right.
It's more for the love of the game than it is this weird, like when we were doing the Overwatch League and you had like training houses for people. Like
they do it the way fighting game, or not fighting game, the way martial artists do, where they're just like, I just want to fight a guy who's just as good as me, if not better, or just be like, hey, I'm pretty good at this, so I can beat up people lower than me to get even better at what I'm doing. Whereas, like you said, everybody else is like, we bought this giant. I forgot the name of the esports team that did this, where they bought that giant fucking building and they filled it full of like PCs and shit. They're like, we're here to train all these guys or whatever. Yeah, they had a whole YouTube video about it.
It was really weird
at the time.
It was very strange.
Like, we spent millions on this. They're like, why? Yeah. Why would you do such a thing?
I don't know. It was one of those things where there was a lot of like, we see a lot of stuff like this, like with what was that WeWork place? Yeah, where you get all this venture capital money sloshing around, but when you actually go and look at it, it's like, this doesn't make any money, you guys. Yeah. Like, it was an idea, and they're just like, and then question mark profit. Like, and it's like, but that part matters.
The weird thing is that like it's possible, and the reason I know it's possible is because card game tournaments don't have this issue. Yeah, recently somebody made a tweet that's like, what would you see at a card game tournament that you wouldn't see at a fighting game tournament? And it was the results of wins, and one of them was if you won first place at some fighting game tournament, so if we give you $600, and then the card game tournament, if you get 64th place to like 79th place, we still give you $2,000. And it was just like, what the fuck happened here? And it's because they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And if they could talk to those guys, they could probably just rework it, and it probably would be fine.
Yeah. I don't know. Speaking of online shooters, Battlefield 3, 4, and Hardline are being delisted from on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 this month.
Oh no, Hardline.
I pointed this out. Because this is a very interesting. The dates here are very interesting. This says that Battlefield 3 is celebrating its 13th birthday in just 2 weeks. Keen-eyed listeners may remember Battlefield 3 was the very first loading bar video that Jason and I ever played. That was the very first one. Friendly fire will not be tolerated.
Yeah.
That says it's like Fuse was the first RageSelect video, but the first video on Spill that Jason and I ever did was for Battlefield 3, and so Battlefield 3 is turning 13, which means that I started doing this shit 13 years ago.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Oh shit.
That's why I included it, because it was just like, oh yeah. So, because I'll be honest, like, I mean, I think it's kind of shitty but this is just being delisted on the old platforms. I don't know.
Honestly, this news is strange because that doesn't really mean anything, because all games are being delisted.
Right.
The 360 store is not going to exist anymore.
Right.
And I don't think it really matters all that much.
They're also turning off the servers, and it's like,
the servers thing is different, though.
But the PC version will still work. And then Battlefield 4 and Battlefield Hardline servers on the Xbox One, PS4, and PC will still work. So it's like, this is more about the date and me reminiscing than it is about anything like.
I'm not going to say it's a not story, only because people still do play those things, and I don't begrudge them for doing that.
Yeah.
But at this point, they're better off just getting the PC version.
Oh, I wonder if people are playing Battlefield 3 and backwards compatibility on the Series X.
That's what I was thinking. But I don't know. Like, those guys are probably. But even then, like. I guess they just have to go with the 4 if they're playing on the console. I don't know. I'm less.
I
feel bad for them.
I'm less mad about this than I am about like the Forza Horizon 4 news.
Yeah,
because that's like a lot more current. We've got a rumor that the next Call of Duty crossover skins are going to be Deadpool and maybe Wolverine to coincide with the movie.
That'd be neat, I guess.
This is kind of an interesting thing because what they've let me see if I can find the videos that they did for it. Some people found in the code a series of like execution animations that don't have skins to them, but they're very like Deadpool it's kind of hard to see
right there when he shoots a guy.
Of like tapping somebody on the shoulder and then rolling behind them and then like kind of waving their finger. Like this one right here is probably the most where somebody's on the ground and they like go behind them and then shoot them. So it's weird in that like it's not necessarily like we don't actually know that there's a skin there, but these all like read a lot like Deadpool, like something that a silly Wade Wilson would do.
He does like there's a tee-hee pose the guy does.
Yeah,
that is very much like you've seen like a promotional still of Deadpool doing that for something at some point.
So
I could see that being a thing.
I thought it was an interesting rumor. That was all based on just like the animation that got updated in the game.
It's a fun animation though, so even if it's not, that's kind of funny.
I mean, I talk a lot of shit about Call of Duty and their dumb skin bullshit. Deadpool and Wolverine less so, but Deadpool totally makes sense
100%.
As a skin for Call of Duty.
Honestly,
like
Wolverine still makes more sense than fucking Cheech and Chong.
Well, yes. Or Snoop Dogg.
Or even the Gundam. That was a weird thing that they did.
The Gundams. Yeah. So I think that Deadpool makes more sense than a lot of the shit that they've done, and hopefully that'll be a thing that happens soon. Let's see. Speaking of movies and video games, we got a tweet that Watch Dogs, the movie, is finally starting production.
They're still doing that? They gave up on the games already.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
Ubisoft announced this about almost like over a decade ago. I think it was
a long
like
time ago.
2014 was when it was announced. And they're finally starting to start. So the Ubisoft put out a tweet that said lights, camera, action, hashtag Watch Dogs movie at New Regency. That's like a slate for Watch Dogs. And then behind it, there's like a guy typing at a computer. So
I don't even know who's making this.
I don't know why anybody would be making this. Mr. Robot's already a thing. Like,
no, yeah, Mr. Robot was a better Watch Dogs than Watch Dogs itself was.
Like, Watch Dogs 2.
That was fun.
I don't know. I wonder if it's going to be the plot of Watch Dogs 1 where, like...
the sad thing is it probably will be.
The hacker man's niece is in a car accident, so he goes after the evil organization, what did it, and it's the Mafia?
It's strange.
That's the plot of that game.
That game's not great, guys.
He uses his cyber powers to go after the Mafia in his weird trench coat and baseball cap.
Yep.
Like...
It's all the rage.
Also, like... The intrusion into people's personal data that was like an interesting idea in Watch Dogs is now frowned upon heavily.
Yeah. It's now a horrifying thought process.
Yeah, of just
you're like, that guy's not a good guy anymore.
Yeah,
it's creepy.
He's just walking around looking at your social media feed, like judging you.
And not only that, he was like looking up like browser search history with the click of a button, if you remember.
Yeah.
You're like, what are their likes? It's like, oh, they like being pissed on. You're like, why would they want that? Want to know that game?
Yeah. So I don't know. It's going to have Sophia Wilde from Talk to Me, I guess.
Sure.
Is going to be
that's
in
a
it.
name I've heard before.
Well, she was like the main character in Talk to Me.
Oh, okay. Tom Blythe?
Yeah, I don't know who that is. Like the problem is that it's like Tom Blythe from Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds, and I'm like, did anybody fucking watch
that guy? That guy.
Who the fuck is this? He was in Billy the Kid.
Still never.
He was in Robin Hood in 2010.
Jesus, no one has heard of this man.
He was in Scott and Sid.
You want to know the thing? You want to know what this tells me?
Yeah,
is that when this movie was being made, they casted all of these people years ago.
Yeah,
because she is the big name for the article. When because that movie came out like a year ago.
Oh yeah.
So she probably was like signed on for this ages ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that Assassin's Creed movie was ass.
It was bad.
So
who knows? Maybe it'll be better than it? Question mark.
Maybe. In other movie news, we got an answer. I don't know if you saw this news.
I saw, but I didn't read
it. One question that comes up when you're talking about video game movies is: there's a Borderlands movie with Kate fucking Blanchett.
Such a strange idea.
Like one of the greatest actresses of our generation is in the Eli Roth's Borderlands movie.
Randy Pitchford's Borderlands produced movie.
With Kevin Hart and Jack Black. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know how this happened.
Well, we have an answer. She was giving an interview and basically talked about how she was going crazy during COVID.
Oh my God.
She was just she was just so nuts. What does she say? I was spending a lot of time in the garden using the chainsaw a little too freely. And my husband said, this film could save your life, because apparently Kate Blanchett was kind of going fucking nuts from lockdown. And they were like, do you want to be in a movie? And her husband was like, yes, you want to be in a movie. You want to go outside.
That woman's been playing with a chainsaw, staring at me slowly. I need to get her out of here before she goes crazy.
And what was the other thing where she said that she kind of got into looking at the games and stuff, but she said a bit of the COVID madness was probably some of the reason why she's in this movie. So apparently this is one of those like Nicolas Cage things where Kate Blanchett was like really bored and somebody was just like, do you think we can get Kate Blanchett? Like, I don't know. Maybe go ask her and find out. They're like, Kate Blanchett, would you like to? Yes, whatever it is.
Whatever it is. I'll do it.
It's a video game movie. Like, I don't give a shit. I'm about to kill my husband with a chainsaw.
Like, I just love the idea that like she would have said yes to anything. Like they would call her as like, we need you to play a water puddle. She's like, I'll do it. Whatever it is, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I need something.
I got to get out of this house. I got to get out of the fucking house.
Such a strange. I wonder how many other actors you could have pulled that off with during COVID. Like walk up to like fucking Christopher Walken, like, hey, did you want to be Max Payne? He's like, sure.
I'll do anything.
I'll do whatever. I've been stuck at home for hours. Or just walk up to like Leonardo DiCaprio. Do you want to be Crash Bandicoot? He's like, sure, I guess. I don't have anything else to do.
Yeah.
COVID really fucked with people's brains. You could have got away with a lot of different actors, probably.
I like to call these people, this is what I refer to as lockdown amateurs.
Yes.
Who don't know. A lot of the celebrities going nuts being inside. I'm like, have you considered purchasing a video game console? Like, they'll waste your life. Your hours will melt away.
The issues, a lot of them were used to like being flown to random countries to film stuff. And they're like, oh, you just got to stay home now.
Right.
And she's just like, with my husband? Like, are you like inside where I live?
Yeah. Yeah.
But she didn't know what to do. She panicked. I feel like that happened with a lot of actors who don't have relationship with their kids.
True.
It's like, I have to stay at home with my children?
It happened with a lot of normal people who didn't have a relationship. Like, relationships dissolved during COVID because they were like, what, I got to spend all day with my husband and children? Fuck that.
Yeah. People freaked out. So, it was real bad.
Anyway, so yeah, now we know why Cate Blanchett is in the Borderlands movie. I don't know, man. That movie looks like it could be. I mean, if it's just like Guardians of the Galaxy but not quite as good, that could be an acceptable movie. That's what I'm hoping for.
It could be fun. A friend of mine, or I think you know Hi, right?
Yeah.
He posted a picture where like he was in a somewhere with the claptrap robot that they were going to use for like an interview. Yeah, they put a cowboy hat on him.
Okay,
so they're coming out with it soon. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, who knows? Let's see from there. Speaking of movies, and there's more movie and TV stuff. So last week there was a story where Hidetaka Miyazaki talked about that FromSoft would not be opposed to the idea of an Elden Ring movie / television show. But he basically just said, like, if we could find somebody that wanted to do it, we as a company have no experience with movies or television, so we can't do it. Like,
we won't really say no,
right?
But like, so if you have a good enough pitch, we'll consider it, is what they're saying.
Right. Basically, like, I'm not taking it off the table, but we wouldn't have anything to do with it because it's not our forte.
Not only that, they're probably like, how many of you actually know the full story of this game?
Well,
and the only one is like George R.R. Martin. He's just like, but not. There's probably a lot you never even used.
George R.R. Martin last week in a blog post, one of the things that was written there, amongst other things, was he wrote, and about those rumors that you may have heard about a feature film or television series based on Elden Ring, I have nothing to say. Not a word. Nope, not a thing. I know nothing. You never heard a peep from me. Mum. What rumor?
I've never heard of George R.R. Martin in my life.
So the thing is that people, this is one of those things where it's like, okay, if there was nothing, you would just not address it.
You would just say no.
You would just say no. You wouldn't be cute about it. Unless you're George R.R. Martin, then you might be cute about it.
The thing is, he is that kind of guy who would do that. He's not. He's known for being a little trolly,
right?
So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what he was doing.
And having people say like, "Ooh, confirmed," and he's like, "Bitch!"
He's like, laughing in the corner.
I said no. Don't you know what no means?
Exactly.
I
love the way he did it, though.
Yeah,
just being like, there was no monorail hill, no way, no how.
Right. So yeah, I don't know. I'm all in favor. They find the right team. I think
got a great premise that I know of, because what I know of the lore sounds super interesting.
Yep.
If you got the right people to do that, it could be really cool. Mm-hmm. The problem is not everybody knows what they're doing.
Right. No, absolutely. It could definitely be adapted. I think it would be interesting. I think it's adaptable, and I think that we've seen a lot of examples recently of the industry is better at doing video game movie and TV adaptations. They're getting better at it.
They're getting people who actually care about them.
Right.
That was the thing about the Last of Us show, was that the showrunner for that was like, no, I actually legitimately like these. The people who made the Super Mario Brothers movie, they're like, no, we like Super Mario and we want it to have all the iconography and stuff. Like, we're no longer getting the issues we had with original Super Mario Brothers. We're like, well, all of this is dumb. What if it was an underground world where dinosaurs evolved instead of people? And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Sure, we're going to make Uncharted with Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and Marky Mark.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Why?
Like, just weird shit like that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be called Uncharted, but it's about the mafia. You're like, that's not what any of this is about.
That's not what this is.
Like, that was what we used to get, guys.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's an actual movie, but there are movies that's exactly what happened with them.
Yeah. Go watch Max Payne.
Yes, Max Payne is a great example of that.
So yeah, I think that they could totally do it with the right team. The real question is just like, even if they did do it, even if they started making it now, it would still be like 2 years until we saw anything.
It would take a long time.
Here's a question for you though. Do you think that an Elden Ring show would do worse than, as good as, or better than like Rings of Power, right? Like, because they made that Rings of Power show and it's like, it kind of hit a little bit, but not very well.
I think it would do better purely from the fact that you can play with it a lot more than you would say something like Lord of the Rings. Like, they're rabid fans of Elden Ring, but they're not as like rabid as, say, fucking the Lord of the Rings people,
or numerous.
Or as numerous,
yeah.
And so you can play with that universe, because there's a lot of gaps too when it comes to the stories. A lot of stuff is people's own interpretations of what they've read on there, and the only people who really know if that's right or wrong don't want to say yes or no.
True.
So you can maybe even get those answers that you had questions about with that. I feel like any of those series that they've made would work really well if they got people who cared about it to get on a Game of Thrones type budget to make them. Like, I would love to, like, I think the first 3 Dark Souls would be a great show. I think Bloodborne would be a fantastic show if you had the kind of
really good
budget for it. Like, I think even Sekiro would be a really interesting show if you had the budget for it, because they're interesting worlds, they're great designs, and there's a lot to work with because of it.
And they're well beloved. Yeah.
Although nobody wants to watch when the final battle is a guy with 2 shields and he just stands there and he's like, come at me.
Oh, you just wait. I got a lot of final battle news coming up. Let's see. Okay, now we're starting to get a little bit shorter on time. So we'll do a few of these pretty quick. FromSoft's Kadokawa, the parent group of From Software, got ransomware hacked.
Oh.
It's unclear whether From Software specific data was taken or if this was mostly just focused on Kadokawa. So, there was a big update. This actually happened kind of last week, but I cut it, so I thought I would put it in here since we were obviously going to have so much time to talk about everything because there was so little news. The community is asking, one last thing for FromSoft, the community is asking FromSoft for one more big thing, and that is the ability to replay boss fights. Currently, there is no way to replay a boss fight outside of helping another player, which makes that fight harder, or replaying into New Game Plus, right? Like, once you beat the boss, you can't go back and try it again.
Yeah, and you would have to go through everything else to get to that boss you want to fight again.
Right. And so people are really, really asking them, especially because they opened up those arenas, to give the arenas as a place to be like, let me do the boss fight in the arena.
Typey thing.
Yeah.
That would be a great idea, actually.
Yeah. Because it would also give people like the Let Me Solo Her. It would give them people a place to practice before they went in to do it for real.
Yeah.
As opposed to having to spend resources and try stuff. You know, you could
pretty fun.
really hone your skills. So I think it might be a thing that they might suggest. The only thing that is a little bit questionable is some bosses have very specific arena geometry. Like the boss fight with Godric the Grafted at the beginning, it's like a big rectangle, right?
Oh.
But then like Melania, that's like a circle.
Yeah.
Like, so the boss fights take place in different styles of arenas, so you might have a little bit of trouble with that.
Well, there's an easy way around that, which a lot of games used to do this, where like if there was like a boss rush type thing, it would just be like once you're done with one, it would just send you, or once you started it, it would basically just put you where the boss fight was originally,
right?
And then once you're done, it would just take you back to wherever you were,
sure,
or take you to the next level where that boss was, or so forth and so forth.
Yeah,
like that would be the easiest way. Like just like have the arena just be like, there's the stage, there's a thing in the middle, you walk up to it, and then just loads where you would have fought that person to begin with.
Yeah, it could
work. That would be the best way. That's how I would have done it, at least.
Yeah. Let's see. Speaking of quality of life enhancements, I don't know if you saw this, Michael, but GTA Online added a feature that players have been asking for years.
What's that?
It's the ability to use the phone in the game to basically order cars, reload ammo, and cash in all of the earnings from your properties in the game into your bank account. Because it used to be you had to go to each one and basically pick them up. And
that's
this
really
is a thing
dumb.
where you can hit a button and it does it. However, they put it behind a paywall.
Oh my god! What the fuck is wrong with you, Rockstar?
And not just any paywall; they put it behind the GTA Plus $8 a month paywall.
That's terrible.
And not only that, Michael, because I was reading through this article and I was like, well, that fucking sucks. Not only that, but the GTA Plus service is only available on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X version of Grand Theft Auto.
Not even on the PC version?
Online. The PC version has the same code base as the PS4 and Xbox One version, which means that it does not have the ability to have this subscription service.
Holy shit.
But, you know, this is a great opportunity to remind everybody, Rockstar has no fucking idea how to do this, and they're bad at it.
No, well, not only that, it also shows how little they actually care about what you want. Because they've been monetizing the shit out of online to the point where there was nothing new for the single-player mode.
Yep.
What frustrates me about GT Online isn't the fact that they've added all these fancy new cars and all these, you know, crazy things you can do. It's that none of those things are available in the single player version.
Sure.
Like why lock that all these crazy things like you could just fuck around with in single player without having to deal with another person.
Yep.
And just it frustrates me. It just annoys the hell out of me.
It is. I agree. So yeah, people are upset. Hopefully they get around to fixing it, or I mean, but even if they make it so that you can, and even if they make it so you can get it on the PS4 and the PC version, at least the PC version, for God's sake.
Yeah, the PC version is one of your biggest fan bases. Like, that's an insane thing to do.
Like, even if you changed it so that it was just the thing that I find most objectionable is the idea of it being behind a subscription, not even like a one-time thing. Like, if you've been playing GTA Online for 10 years and it's like, yeah, give me $20, I'll make the game a little easier for you. Fine, whatever. You've been playing GTA Online for years, but the idea that's give me $8 a month, and it's insane. Go to hell.
Fuck you guys. That thing, I hate that how that has affected a lot of game stuff.
Yep. Let's see. Lethal Company is getting an update that will let monsters grab you out of the bushes. There's like a new fox that can like grab you and then like drag you in and bite you in half. And if you can get something, you can hack at it. Also, apparently they're going to put a van in the game where you can drive a van up and load it up with scrap and then take it back to the ship, which is kind of a nice update. I'm very happy that Lethal Company is still getting updates.
I'm happy that Lethal Company became popular enough that it got to be a Fortnite skin.
Yep.
And the only thing I bought from it was its little dance.
Yep. Absolutely. Let's see. Sega put out some new information about that new Crazy Taxi game, and I'm immediately disinterested.
I heard about this, and I was like, oh, well, now I don't want to play this anymore.
Yeah, apparently the new Crazy Taxi game is going to be a massive multiplayer game where you all spawn into a gigantic map. Also, that map is going to be realistic looking because it's in Unreal Engine 4. What the fuck? Do you guys even know what Crazy Taxi is? Like,
is it going to be at least be blaring Offspring the whole time?
Probably
not. That was my issue with every re-release of it. If we release Crazy Taxi, I'm like, cool. Is no brakes on there? No. Yeah. None of the Offspring is on there. I'm like, well, fuck you guys. I don't do this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say outside of that. Like that, I kind of like the idea. I was never a Crazy Taxi guy, so the idea of like, oh, this could be the first time that I get into a Crazy Taxi game, and it's like probably not that one. So
it was a product of its time, and in my opinion, because it was literally just a game where you picked up people and you drove really fast, dropped them off while the Offspring blared in your ear, and nothing else has ever really matched that, even when they made like remasters and stuff.
Sure. Let's see. In an interview recently, Nintendo came out and said that they are going to try to avoid scalpers by basically, we've kind of had this story before, but this is confirmation, by flooding the market with Switch 2s. So the best way to have to combat scalpers who take advantage of the scarcity of your console, there is no scarcity. Yeah. Everyone could buy one. It does not fucking matter. Like
the only thing that's funny about this to me is the fact that scalpers are dumb and they won't know this is a thing.
Yes.
And they're going to buy like truckloads of Switch 2s and be like, why is nobody buying my large chunk of these? Well, it's because it turns out there's thousands of them, dude. Nobody wants to buy yours.
They also made a brief mention where they said, quote, in addition to this, we are considering whether there are any other measures that can be taken to the extent allowed by laws and regulations, taking into account the circumstances of each region. So it sounds like they're also looking into, like, are there any anti-scalping laws that we can try to use to take advantage of this? Because they genuinely, they don't want people to be put out. They want people to buy it from them and have a good time.
I hope they figure out a way to make this easier, for maybe even help some of the law stuff. Because Nintendo lawyers, they pay attention to everything.
Yeah.
And if they find every possible avenue that can help other developers and game console makers figure out ways of stopping these kinds of things, or at least minimizing how annoying it is. Because every time they're like, we came out with the limited edition fucking Pikachu controller, and it's a yellow controller with like his face on it or something, and it comes out for like $40, and then like a week later they're $500 on eBay or something.
Yep.
It's like nobody wants to deal with that.
Or even the shit that went down at that Van Gogh thing.
Yeah, the Van Gogh thing was like the last straw for Nintendo. I feel like I think this was probably the thing that triggered this.
Yeah,
because they saw like, oh, people are fucking insane. We need to figure out a way of like keeping this from happening to like other people.
Nintendo's also they're like the mom friendliest company, where they're like, they want your mom to be able to go to Walmart and buy a Nintendo Switch 2 without any fucking guff, right?
Yeah, because the mom's just gonna buy whatever you ask them for, not whatever, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like they're given a list of things, and if they can get it, they'll get it. And if they can't, they won't spend the money on it.
Yeah,
and that adds up immensely,
especially when you consider that like the Switch 2 is going to be launching in a financial environment where there's like a lot of inflation.
Yeah,
people don't have as much additional money, and so it's like, fuck you, I'm not like, you could try to sell me a Switch 2 for $150 over retail. I don't have $150 over retail. Like, fuck you.
There's no reason to do that nowadays.
Yeah,
unless you're really, really into whatever it is that you want.
Yep. The other Nintendo news this week was apparently there was Nintendo went after two piracy organizations. So one of them was a modded hardware store that sold flash carts and modded Switches.
Oh boy!
And they basically sent them a cease and desist. They refused to cease or desist, and so they are now taking them to court. This goes back to that thing that I think you and I get, where I'm just like, I don't know how you guys thought that you could do this and like charge money and ship an official like you got like this is crime. I don't know how you thought that you could like put a return address on the crime envelope and not have somebody come to your house and be like, excuse me, I see that you're doing crimes. Stop doing crimes, or we're going to take you to court.
See, what I know we've had this conversation before, and I think I've had this answer before.
Yeah,
is it's the criminals of Gotham,
right,
who are like, well, Batman can't be everywhere.
Yeah,
so I'm going to rob this bank. But it turns out Batman is a crazy person,
right? And
when he finds you, you'll have no legs use ever again.
So the other one is a little weirder, and that's the moderator of r/Switch piracy on Reddit. And the thing is that they're not suing him for being the moderator of this. It's that, again, this guy got too like friendly with this bullshit, where like people would be like, oh, I can't get Yuzu working. He'd be like, DM me, I'll send you instructions. Or like, you know, he had let's see. He was the most active member. They also allege that he used his position to encourage people to pirate games, in part by directing them to pages where he specifically sells service for circumventing hardware protections, including like Telegram groups and like promoting stuff where like, what is the one? He left a comment where he was like, most of us who hacked our Switch are like, you said pirates aren't going to give Nintendo $50 for a game. Most of us who hacked our Switch are like, are, like you said, pirates and aren't going to give Nintendo $50 for a game. Like they stopped having plausible deniability.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's a way to do this.
When you started it, I was like, well, he's just a mod. There's so many ways he could be like, well, I had no idea, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the longer you went on, the more it's like, so I love crime.
Right.
Do you love crime?
Right. Like DM me if you love crime. I'll totally give you crimes.
Do you concur about crime? And they're like, maybe.
Yeah. So
like, holy shit.
And apparently when they first kind of started going after him, he immediately tried to delete all of his shit on Reddit. Like they hadn't already screenshot all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Which then makes you look even worse.
It makes you look so much worse.
Because it looks like you tried to cover up the thing that you were getting in trouble for.
But you've also already done it all.
Yep.
Oh my God. That's so fucking funny.
So yeah, they're also suing him. Nintendo's just like, if I was on the internet and was doing some sketchy shit that was Nintendo related, I would be very sure that I had plausible deniability for the day when they came to my house and I was like, I never told anybody I never said I love piracy on Reddit. I never said, hey, go to my website. I'll give you all the ROMs there. I was like,
I never said Nintendo is a bitch ass motherfucker.
Right.
They can go fuck themselves.
Right.
I never once said that.
Like I didn't put my return address on the hack chips that I charged $50 for on the internet. Like, do you guys know about, Tor browsers and the dark web and like VPNs and some other? I mean, like
the problem is, Jeff, people we've been talking about this for many years. Many people have talked about this for many years.
Yeah, is
that people got too comfortable with the internet.
Right.
People thought. Because for years we were like, you'll never say that if your name and everything was on the line up in public.
Turns out no.
It turns out if you go on LinkedIn, that's not true at all.
Yep.
And it also turns out that if you just that if you commit crimes and announce them as loud as possible on something that everyone in the universe could see, that it doesn't mean that nobody saw it.
Also, that you did some shady shit with one of the most litigious companies on the entire planet. Like maybe it's just the fact that like the youngins, they don't know because they haven't been around long enough.
No.
And suddenly they're getting fucking legally bitch slapped by Nintendo. But like I know, don't do that.
Don't you know, Jeff, that you can't charge a husband and wife for the same crime?
Right, exactly. All right, well, you know what? We're going to finish up with just a couple of quick things real fast, and I'm sorry we're going to end on a little bit of a bummer. There was a developer that made a game, this isn't the bummer yet, called Palia, that's like a farming online kind of cozy game thing, open world, who's been acquired by this developer called Singularity 6, which is a slightly bigger developer, which is good because apparently Palia, in spite of being very popular, was having a really hard time like making ends meet, the devs and stuff. So that's some good news. The bad news is that 3 months after Tales of Kenzero Zao launched, the kind of African mythology themed Metroidvania game from the
I almost forgot about that.
Raised by Wolves guy. Amanda and I played it. It seemed to go pretty all right. They had to lay off a dozen employees.
Oh man,
it didn't sell very well. Like it's one of those things where they're online talking about how they're very happy with the launch and blah blah blah. Because you can't go online and be like, yeah, no, we didn't sell enough. Like,
well, none of that. You can't go online and say that and be like, this is your fault,
right?
Kind of thing. Like you can't trick people. You can't shun people and convince them to buy your games.
Yes.
Like the thing is that like you can only try to get people to buy your games as much as you can.
Yep.
And the worst thing is that I didn't even know the game came out. I feel like they just needed some more people.
It was on PlayStation Plus as well.
Was it really?
I think so.
I don't remember this at all.
Yep. I think it was like last month before. Also, I don't want to get into this, but there was a big backlash that was tangentially related, I think, to some of that Sweet Baby stuff with it. So I don't know. I don't get the impression this was kind of a long shot, and like if they didn't have the budget to be able to release this and then have very like realistic sales goals, right? Especially if they were putting it on something like PS Plus. I don't know. It doesn't seem like a bad game, but the cold hard reality of this industry is that good games come out and companies fail all the time.
Yes.
Like
there's plenty of games that are great and that nobody will ever notice in their life until it ends up on somebody's list for like unappreciated games, and then all of a sudden everybody's playing them. Like we bring it up all the time. Among Us is a great example of like this is a game that when it came out, people were like, eh. But then one day somebody started playing it and it exploded. Fortnite was another one that I brought up earlier. We're like, we made a game and nobody wanted to play it, and then they reworked it and it became a whole fucking cultural phenomenon.
Absolutely.
Like you have no idea what will work. Your original idea may not even be what works. Your second idea may not even be what works.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is we live in a time frame where there are not a lot of chances anymore.
It's real cutthroat right now.
Yeah.
If your first thing fails, the problem is with all of the not to this is the place where Jeff just shifts gears. It sounds like he's on a fucking like some other adult podcast. Like interest rates being where they are means that venture capital doesn't flow as much, which means that if your first game doesn't make very much money, there aren't as many investors out there, and they're very skittish about what they invest in. And so if your first game launched and didn't really do the numbers that you thought it was, it's going to be hard to attract an investor when the cost of borrowing money is so high right now that your VC people are skittish. So you're not going to get as much angel investment as you would get previously.
All it comes down to is if at first you don't succeed, skydiving is not for you.
Yes. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. We got a couple of news stories left here, but a lot of them are the same news story. So when we come back, we'll do those, and then we'll do trailers, and then we'll wrap it up. So stick around, and we'll see you in just a second. And before we get to the trailers, we got a couple more stories left. These were just some fun things that came up. One of them was basically just your quarterly. If you fuck with Harada on Twitter, he will come at you super fucking hard.
I love him for that reason.
Thing.
He doesn't fuck around is the thing.
Yeah. So Katsuhiro Harada is the guy that made Tekken. Recently, somebody was coming at him online about like, why isn't my character? Can you turn it a little bit? Why isn't my favorite character in Tekken 8? And he was like, and it was like, why do you hate her so much? And Harada came back with this whole thing where it was like, you are making things up inside of your own head. I don't hate any characters. I just, we have to put new characters in there. And they're like, well, why don't you just make a Tekken with just like all the old characters? And he's like, you don't know how business. I watched this one thing where he was like, you don't understand how business works. And I'm not going to take advice from somebody who has no idea how business works. This guy was like, actually, I work for a Fortune 500 company and I've saved them thousands of dollars. I'd be more than happy to DM you. And he was like, yes. You don't work in the video game industry, so you have no fucking idea what you're talking about. Like, leave, go make a video game, and then come back, and I will be more than happy to talk to you.
Which is exactly what should be. I love Harada because he doesn't get. He's like, no one's gonna stop me.
Yeah,
and you're not gonna stop me.
Yeah.
Like, I made these games, and I will sit here and I will talk to you guys about it. But you have to understand that you are all idiots.
Yeah,
and I'm just trying to be cool about this. And if you push me, I'm going to tell you how stupid you are.
Yeah, there was a story. It was a little while back where somebody, they were pushing about the monetization in Tekken 8. He was just like, you fucking don't have any idea what the financials on this thing look like. You have no experience with this. Quit sitting here and trying to tell me what you know. You don't know.
He's like, we were trying. You guys just don't understand how much worse it could get if I wasn't trying.
Yep.
I love him. I love him so much.
It's pretty great.
I love his Twitter feed a lot because he was talking about, I think he was in Chicago or something. And somebody drove by and was like, Harada, and he like freaked out because he didn't expect anybody to realize where he was.
Yeah.
And he's like, I was expecting worse, but it's just a couple of people being like, hey, we love you. It's like, it's just so funny to me.
Yeah. So yeah, it's worth checking out. Let's see, we got some Mortal Kombat stuff. Some Mortal Kombat folks, because we just went through Evo, are a little worried that Mortal Kombat 1 is basically like kind of dead.
No, I get it too. It's the thing. Because
it was like the numbers for registrations for Mortal Kombat 1 were like vastly lower than Mortal Kombat 11. Like,
well, not only that, it's vastly lower than every other game in the current Evo.
Right. It was pretty low. It was higher than King of Fighters 15.
Yeah, that's the only one it beats.
But like under night in birth to cis celes got more registrations than Mortal Kombat 1.
To tell you what the difference in vastness is between Street Fighter 6 and Mortal Kombat 1 is in the thousands.
Street Fighter 6 was 5,265. Mortal Kombat 1 was 645.
It's insane. But it's like... But we also have to understand that these are fighting game tournaments.
Yeah.
And not everybody... It's not like the entire general audience goes to EVO.
Right.
So it's not exactly like... Like, don't completely think the game is dead for those reasons.
Yeah.
I think it's dead for the other reasons, which is that I don't know anyone who talks about playing Mortal Kombat 1 anymore.
Yeah, the big thing is, like, people talk about it, we're saying, like, the Mortal Kombat traditionally, I think you've said this before, I think I even got a little mad about it,
yes.
was Mortal Kombat being like the fighting game franchise for casual players that don't necessarily want to do as much fucking looking at frame tech data.
You don't need an infinite in Mortal Kombat.
Right. But that the casual players don't seem to be playing Mortal Kombat 1, and then the pro players don't seem to be playing Mortal Kombat 1. I personally think, like, it might not be the worst idea for them to go back and be like, can we make a non-cameo mode for Mortal Kombat 1? Like,
they completely fucked the entire... Not fucked it. They completely... I don't know what it is they did, but my urge to play Mortal Kombat 1 is so low.
Yeah.
When Mortal Kombat 11 was out, and me and you played the shit of that game.
Hell yeah, man.
We would come back and be like, oh, I was playing the new thing or the new tower with my character. I made a new thing.
Yeah.
We did this. I remember playing it for months on end.
Yeah.
When I was just like, you know what, I'm a little bored. I'm going to play Mortal Kombat 11 for a little bit. I have not touched Mortal Kombat 1 since fucking Omni-Man came out.
Yeah, me neither.
I have not really touched Peacemaker. I've not touched Homelander.
Yep.
I don't even remember who the next person's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be Takeda, I think, is the last one.
Yeah, and I've not touched it at all. Like, it's annoying.
Again, the problem for me was the fact that, like, okay, Injustice 2 and Mortal Kombat 11 both had the, like, towers, basically. Yeah. Justice 2 had the multiverse, and then Mortal Kombat 11 had the towers. And this was a perfectly great way for me as a single player to play this. The invasion mode was not fun. Like, it was
boring,
slow, and it was like one round combat, and it was like those towers, you were on a tower, you know, you beat this guy, you go to the next guy, go to the next guy, go to the next guy.
There's a lot of unique things in those towers when it came to certain fights.
Yeah.
And the other thing that frustrates me is the customization in Mortal Kombat 1 is fucking terrible.
Yeah, it is.
It's like you have one thing and that's it. Like, you want to have Johnny Cage, but you also want to use the Jean-Claude Van Damme one,
right,
where you better exit out of the menu that you're in, go back, set the thing you want, then go save it, and then go back to it, instead of having the way 11 was, where there were multiple slots to be like, I want Johnny Cage to be wearing red in this one, I want him to be wearing yellow in this one, and I want him to be Jean-Claude Van Damme in this one. Like, we don't have that option.
Yeah.
And it frustrates me because it's like, oh, we saw all these skins, but you can only use one at a time.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And hey, you know what? I liked the story mode.
Oh yeah.
But I played it like twice, and the end. Like, I'm not going to do it again.
That's once you're done with it, you're done with it. And like you said, Invasion is it's a very boring board game.
Yep.
That doesn't have anything interesting going on in it.
Yep.
The one time I had a trouble with it was because I wasn't paying attention, and then I died because I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even a fight. It was one of those like mini game ones where it's like dodge the lasers.
Oh, right.
Like,
yeah,
jump.
yeah.
And I just wasn't paying attention. And I wasn't jumping correctly, and then I died. It's like, well, that was lame. Like,
yep.
And then you had to wait forever for it to load to start it again.
Mm-hmm.
That frustrated me.
It's no good.
So dumb.
I really wish that they would first work on taking cameos out and making it just a one-on-one mode, like just as a mode, make it a switch, cameos on or off, right?
The cameos were hard to figure out.
And then once that has gone away, put some towers in it, man, and I'll be more than happy. Like, I know that it's not nothing. I'm not fucking coming at Harada here.
No.
Like, I know it's not nothing, but I think it would reinvigorate the game if there was challenge towers to go play.
I just think that Mortal Kombat 1 is an unfortunate victim of weird choices.
Yeah.
And I think some of it might have been meddling, and I feel like there's hints at the idea that, especially since since the monetization is so fucking strange compared to even the way the 11 was.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was some meddling there,
some Warner Brothers meddling.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
let's see. I mentioned this before, and so we'll go over it really quickly. So there was that tournament where a guy got $500 that for when he won. He picked up his chair and threw it behind him, and apparently cracked a $3,000 light. So the first off, the organizer was like, "Yeah, he's going to pay for that because I'm not paying for that. Like,
I'm not doing this.
You fucking threw a chair." Second, anybody who throws anything at any of my tournaments from now on is like out. You're out immediately. You're disqualified. Like,
you are banned.
Now it turns out that the light didn't need to be fully replaced, so it was only $365 to repair. But still, it was like most of the winnings is going to go to just replacing this light.
He won $500 and he only kept 150 or something.
A
lot. It's really stupid.
Yeah. So don't throw chairs, or at least, if you're going to throw them, make sure that there's not something there that you're going to bust.
The issue is, this has been a huge issue with fighting game tournaments lately.
Yeah.
So people being like, "Oh, I did great, so great. I'm gonna pop off," as they call it, and they throw something, and it's like, dude, like, there's a reason why people are having such a hard time finding venues,
right? Because
people are just throwing shit randomly, and it damages the venue.
Yeah,
and so the venue's going to be like, "You're going to get the fuck out of here."
Yeah,
if the people who are coming are batshit insane. Like, there are conventions that are known for not being able to find places because the few times they happened, they wrecked
everything.
They wrecked everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And then last, the Mortal Kombat front. Okay, this is a really weird rumor, and I'm not sure if it's correct, but somebody created a homebrew, this is what Scorpion would look like in multiverses thing, and put it online. And then, like, one of the community managers for multiverses, like, came at it with like the eyeballs response, and people are like, confirmed Scorpion's going to be in multiverses. Now the thing is that I don't know if this is a confirmation or not, but I can say that there's a really good chance that Scorpion is going to be in multiverses because it is owned by Warner Brothers. It is a fighting game character. They need more characters in multiverses, and he's already got a move set, right?
No, it's a great idea. I think what the eyeball thing is the idea of like, hey, this looks really cool.
Yeah.
Maybe that could be, because that we've seen stuff like that before where people will make, like, I remember I was online, this is when Multiverse was still in beta, somebody on the Reddit was like, I made what I think Daffy Duck could be, and it was like this really cool, like, they even made a model for it and like their own moveset for it.
Yeah.
And I think that guy ended up getting hired or something for all the stuff that he was able to make. And people were, and so like sometimes they're willing to take suggestions on things, and if they own them, then yeah, they could probably easily do something like that.
Yep. Let's see. Speaking of multiverses, our first trailer this week is the Agent Smith addition to multiverses.
Oh, I forgot this was happening. So,
Michael, I got to tell you, I don't think Agent Smith is iconic enough for this. Like,
I really don't know what to think of when it comes to Agent Smith.
His move set, it's like, is weird, like, because he has to be real jumpy and flippy, and like I don't remember him being that jumpy and flippy in the Matrix. Also, he looks a lot more like a cartoon, and I feel like he does have the one move where it's like him doing the dodges, where he's dodging like the bullets. But I don't know. It just doesn't like.
Well, some of the move sets are like things he just did in fights with Neo.
Right.
Like when he does that jump and he's shooting.
Yeah.
Like that's when him and Neo jump at each other.
Right.
And they're like grabbing at each other.
But it doesn't read as well.
But it
without the bullet time.
And so it's not as obvious. And especially, and like you said, it's also because he's not exactly like the most iconic movie villain of all time. Well, he was in the early 2000s when he came out, kind of thing. But I'd be hard pressed to find somebody who thinks he's still that iconic guy.
Well, I think he's more. It's more about his dialogue. His dialogue is iconic. His moves are not really iconic.
Yeah, some of these things I can recognize, but some of them I'm like, I have no idea where that came from.
Yeah,
like the where he did the
stomp
jump.
Yeah,
when he flies over them or something. I forgot which one. It's when he shoots downwards. Like he jumped and he shot downwards.
Yeah,
I'm like, I have no idea where that came from. I don't know where like the slide shot that he did right now.
Yeah,
like it looks like whoever made this is like, well, he's got a gun, so we're gonna put a lot of gun stuff in it.
Right,
which is even weirder because they're like, Agent Smith beat the shit out of Neo with his bare hands.
Right,
consistently. Like there's a Super Neo or a Super Agent Smith thing that happens at one point that you could have fucked with.
Yeah,
and you just decided to not do that. I don't know, but I did. I don't know if did the the intro leak? I know the intro leak, but I don't know if you saw it.
Yes, it did. I saw it. It was very weird. Okay, it's
a very strange trailer.
It's very strange because it's like Spike from Gremlins is running away from Agent Smith in like the dirty apartments in the Matrix, and then like Joker and Jason Voorhees as agents, like with the green Matrix code, show up, and then like Agent Smith starts shooting at Spike, and he starts doing the Neo slow motion dodge.
So like, why is he chasing Stripe? I don't know.
And then like Bugs Bunny shows up in a trench coat, and it's like the people in the Matrix didn't wear brown trench coats. They were like black trench coats.
Well, he's like a detective. It's like Detective Bugs Bunny, but also like, why is that? Why even give him an outfit for the trailer?
And then like again, a lot of the like they have the one scene where he's punching him like he does with Neo, where he's like got the, but then he pulls out the thing that he puts in Neo that makes his mouth like close up that goes in his belly button.
Yeah, and
then he like attaches it to Bugs, but it's like it hits him and then launches him, and it's like that's not what that fucking did, man. I mean, I'm being a little pedantic, but
I think it's like the idea of like maybe that's a move he can do or something.
Yeah,
but it's still weird as shit.
And then at the end, he summons like Matrix clones of Bugs and Stripe, which I'm like, but that's not what Agent Smith makes clones of himself.
It
not
doesn't
like
really make a lot of sense.
Clones of other people. I don't understand what's happening here. So,
like, it's a fun enough cinematic, but at the same time, like you said, canonly wise, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah,
especially since you're like, isn't Stripe supposed to be one of the bad guy people? Like, why is he being chased by one of the bad guy people?
I don't know.
I thought they were all friends. Okay,
I don't know.
Fine.
Like, you know, what'd be cool is if there was a move where he took the little squid thing that goes into Neo's belly button, and he like puts it in somebody, and then their powers are. Like their mouth closes up and their powers are like depowered for like 20 seconds or something, right? Like a debuff. Or like what if he takes off his glasses like he does when he's talking to Morpheus, and then he's like powered up for 10 seconds or something. Like
cool,
there's some stuff you could have done that would have made more sense than like
Agent Smith actually does legitimately have really cool things he could do.
Yeah.
And you centered it all around him shooting.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's very strange.
In other crossover news, we got Rocksteady is in what is it? Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 now.
Okay.
I think this shows a little bit of like we're running out of guys. Like when you're focusing on Rocksteady, like I don't know, Rocksteady is an iconic character, I suppose, but I guess Shredder's already in there. Is Krang in there? I feel like you would do Krang before you did Rocksteady.
I think he's in the new one. I think he is in All-Stars Brawl 2, I think. The problem is I never played it long enough to remember who is and who's not in the game.
Yeah. He seems like he's a very heavy character. He can kind of throw some barrels. He's got like a kind of a grenade, and he's got a gun that he can shoot that does damage, and he's got like a big charge that he could charge up. I don't know. It's nice to see that they're still doing this. I wonder if I hope All-Star Brawl 2 is doing better than All-Star Brawl 1. Like
I hope it is too, because I did like it a little more. I still don't think it was perfect, but it was a step in the right direction.
It's got to be great for people that are into this set of characters. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Let's see. From there, we got the M. Bison in Street Fighter. And this is mostly, we got some trailers this week for the like the open world stuff. Yeah. So Bison as a trainer. There's some like Shadaloo outfits, I guess, that you can wear in like the multiplayer.
It's fun. I like the idea of it a lot. Although it's funny, somebody on Twitter recently, I guess he accidentally pinned the name of calling the creative character John World-Tour. It's like, yeah, John World-Tour can meet Bison now. It's like
Jonathan World-Tour.
It's just so funny to me.
Yeah. But yeah, he's in the game, so you know, this is another fighting game.
He looks great still, by the way. Yeah.
I've heard like, is he broken? I've heard some stuff that's
like his actual like stuff.
Yeah, is he
I hear he's pretty broken right now.
that he's like way OP and needs like some nerfing.
That usually happens when a character comes out. Like they didn't understand how crazy fighting game players are.
Yeah,
and they break it super fast.
They also have a fighting pass for him, I guess. It has some new outfits. And then like all the psycho power stuff.
People are annoyed though that like him being back is like brings up the fact that they're gonna bring Shadaloo back again.
Right.
It's like, motherfucker, we just finished doing this shit. Like, we don't want to deal with this right now anymore.
Yeah.
Go back to what, like, the stuff going on in 3.
Yeah. Let's see from there. Michael, they got a reveal trailer for Spider-Man and Marvel Rivals.
Here comes the Spider-Man.
There's the Spider-Man. So does the thing is that I'm not sure about this one with you. Normally I could just say, well, it's got Spider-Man in it, so Michael's going to try it out.
Oh, no, I'm going to try it out.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's not just because it's mostly because it's a game that, like, it's got potential to be something that could be fun.
Yeah.
I could maybe convince some people to try it out with me. And I like the fact that they took the criticisms about his suit like to heart, because they really did edit the way his outfit is, and I think it looks amazing now. And also, they got the Yuri Lowenthal do his voice again, so I think that's kind of fun.
Okay.
And if I'll at least try out the beta, because the beta is coming out soon, or
July 23rd.
Although I think that's a closed one. But whenever the open one comes out, I guess, because at least that'll give me a chance to really see how it plays.
Looks like he can like run on walls. He's got some pull moves where he webs people up. They show regular kind of Spider Punk, and then what do they call the Baghead version of Spider-Man?
Oh, just Spider Punk.
No, the Baghead one.
Yeah, the Bagman. The amazing Bagman.
Okay, because that was the Fantastic Four. Well, I don't know if that's something different now, but it used to be that was when he was in the Fantastic Four.
It was. It's just that I guess they don't. I guess since the Fantastic Four rights are probably in a weird place, they just put him in a college outfit.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. Who can say? Like, it could be fun. I mean, Overwatch isn't fun, but if this is a throwback to back when Overwatch was fun, it could be fun. Who knows? I sure as shit don't. Let's see. We got a gameplay trailer for Gundam Breaker 4.
I'm very excited for this.
Boy, I'm not. This looks like garbage to me.
The reason I'm excited is because unlike the last one we played for RageSelect, this is made by the guys who made the version I liked. Because they the original studio had made 3 of them. I bought part 3 on like a Chinese version of it that was in English, because they had never released 3 in America at the time. And it's just this, like, it's a game where it's a what's the best way of putting it? It's like a little character action game,
right? Where
you just destroy different models and you get the parts for those models, and you just make your own little weird mobile suit. And it was a lot of fun, and I played it with friends at the time too, so that was one of the reasons I had so much fun with it. And it just played way better than that other one that came out.
Okay.
And so it's made by those guys, and that's why I'm excited about it.
I don't know. I'm, for me, it's just like, like the Gundams are ugly as shit when they put the different parts on. Like, it's not charming to me. It's just like fucking gross.
You can make your own guy and make them all RageSelect colors.
If I was gonna make my own guy, it's like I don't want like just it's an RX-78 top, and then it's just got like Zaku legs that are green on it. Like, that's fucking horrible looking. I don't know.
That's because you actually can change its colors and everything.
Well, they should do that for these trailers.
I think they're just showing that it shows that like these are what their default out parts would look like, mixed together.
Also, the I don't know, it's something about the graphics are just like a little gross. The little like high contrast and kind of low detail for what I mean, like mech stuff should be really sharp and crisp, right? Like, and
I can kind of see that.
I think I expected a little, like the colors are a little saturated, the contrast is a little high. So I don't know, but I don't know. This is having an open beta, right?
Is it?
No.
Here, I already talked to my friend Ilario about it.
Open network test.
Okay.
July 18th through the 20th.
Oh, cool.
July 18th and July 19th through the 20th.
Yeah.
So
I already talked to my friend Ilario, and we're all gonna play it when it comes out on the PC probably.
Oh, okay.
Because he doesn't really play his consoles anymore.
Okay.
And now that I have a decent PC, I can actually play it now.
There you go. Let's see. There's a new Transformers game, Transformers Galactic Trials. Supposed to be like some kind of roguelike game that's got
it's like a racing game,
racing components, but then also like action components. Not to be the biggest hater on this podcast, but this also looks like garbage to me. Like,
it doesn't look very good.
It looks fucking really.
I thought it was a phone game. It was
basic.
Like, when I saw it, I was like, "Is this a new phone game?"
Nope. PS5, PS4. Well, that should tell you something, but
it might have been a phone game at one point. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
But my issue is that like they always try to make these trailers look like these cool ideas.
Yeah.
And then they show the actual gameplay. You're like, oh, this looks terrible.
This looks fucking awful. Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of a brief moment where I was like, oh, cool, a new Transformers game. I wonder if it's going to be as jacked up as most of the previous Transformers games. It's like, yep, yes, it is.
It has been years since we've gotten actual good Transformers games, and that frustrates me.
Was it like 5 years ago when they had that? It's like an XCOM Tactics Transformers
played
game.
It with Matt,
I did.
Remember, yeah.
It was really weird. Anyway,
I remember you not liking it at the time.
October 11th is when this is coming out. I don't know.
Yeah, I miss good Transformers games. I don't know why they stopped making them.
Was the last good one the Platinum one?
To me, it was.
Yeah, I like that one quite a bit.
And that one you can't even buy anymore.
Oh wow,
it was delisted years ago.
Let's see. Shifting gears entirely, we got the Payday 3 Chapter 2 launch trailer. Payday 3 is still a thing.
Just poor bastards.
We talked about the update last week where they do have an offline mode, but you have to log on in order to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Also, the developers have said, we know, we're working towards the offline thing. This is the step one. Apparently, the big thing with this chapter is a new map where you have to bust into police impound.
Oh, okay.
So you have to break into an actual police station as the guys. They have this whole trailer where somebody is calling in to say they saw somebody in a clown mask, and the cop is like, "Yeah, I don't have time to look at all this stuff." And then there's shots in the background. They're like, "Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit!" So. Yeah, I mean, it seems like Payday 3, there's been a couple of really not problematic, but because that's got a different connotation, troubled games that have come out over the last couple of years, Payday 3 being one of them, but it seems like they're trying at least to kind of get things moving in the right direction.
The issue with Payday 3's issues is that they were more than server issues.
Yeah.
And that's really why I feel really bad for them, because they're desperately trying to make this get even close to the way the numbers Payday 2 was getting in the beginning.
Yeah. Which, I don't know, may work, may not. It may end up being a thing where that opening day stumble may never come back, or it could be a thing where they do 3 or 4 updates, people really like it, and then somebody picks it up for streaming, and then it becomes a big thing in 2025.
That's the hope nowadays.
Everybody's playing Payday 3.
You gotta hope that the streamers save your ass nowadays, which is a shame, but yeah.
Michael, I put this one in here for you. Halo Infinite has the Anvil update, Anvil thing.
Yeah, I've been fucking around with Halo recently.
Oh, really?
And it happened mid playing it.
Yeah,
it's like, download this update. I'm like, what is this? And it's just like, I haven't really been caring all that much about Halo, as much as I wish I did, because there's a lot of new customizations and stuff. I'm super behind on the game on the battle passes.
Yeah,
I did the math. If I got every battle pass that I've missed, it's almost the price of a game or something like that.
Right,
because it's $10 each. And a lot of them I'm like, I don't want these. So I haven't played any of the new modes they've come out with. I've just been playing the firefight while I listen to a podcast, basically.
Oh, okay.
So maybe I'll try them out again.
This big robot guy that's talking shit, and then you've got to take it down kind of thing. Reminds me a lot of Destiny. It looks a lot like a Destiny.
I could see that raid. But you're defending it, or then the other one's trying to destroy it, kind of thing.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
What was weird though is when I saw it in the trailer, it was it talked about that game mode, and then it said the game mode was made by, and then it had a username.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, because sometimes they'll make a user will make a game mode that they find interesting.
Yeah,
and they'll make it official, because that was something they were talking about at one point in one of their announcements, where they're like, hey, now that we have what the hell's the name of it?
Forge.
The Forge running. If you make some things that we find really cool, and they're not copyrighted in some way, with the Waffle House thing, as cool as that is,
right?
You couldn't make that an official mode or something.
Yeah,
it's then we could put it in here, and you could be credited for it and everything, and that seems to be one that they did that with.
Oh, there you go.
Good for them.
We got another trailer for Flintlock, Siege of Dawn, which is coming out in I think 2 weeks.
It's pretty soon.
This one is a lot more. This has a lot more story. It kind of shows the main character as being in an army where the gods destroyed their village, and so they're going to. That's kind of the plot of the game, is that they are now going to get revenge, and they've teamed up with the little little animal magic god thing.
Okay.
Because apparently they did something to unleash the gods or something. Anyway, everything I'm seeing, I didn't play the demo for this because I kind of wanted to keep my powder dry on it, but like everything I'm seeing for this makes it look like it could be like a big sleeper hit that could be really good.
It could very be. The problem is that Game Fest kept trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
And people got kind of annoyed.
Right.
Because it was at like every fucking conference at Game Fest.
They also have not let this, they haven't let people have a break from Flintlock. They're constantly talking about Flintlock for the last like 6 months. So
has anybody heard about that Funke? It's great. You got to hear about that guy.
It's so funny though, because I looked at this trailer and you know what it reminded me a lot of was God, what was that? What was that Square Enix game for Spoken?
Yeah,
but like good, like Forspoken, but this lady has like an axe and a gun, and at a certain point a flamethrower. Like I'm like, oh, okay, all right, sure, like big old grenades and magic powers and shit.
It's also
like,
got like a more interesting series of combat when it comes to like animations.
Yeah,
because I never really found the animations for Forspoken all that interesting to begin with.
Yeah,
that whole game just was pain in my ass.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy myself. So, but you know, this has got fucking like rocket launchers and lightning guns and all kinds of crazy shit. I'm like, oh, okay. Also, I feel like they had some kind of marketing team come in like recently because all of the like the way the way they present the title of the game in this weird like grindhouse takes up the entire screen with the film stock over it.
It's very strange, yeah.
It doesn't match at all like what the actual game is, but
I feel like that. Yeah, I feel like that might have also just been part of why they had that at so many fucking Game Fest things.
Yeah,
they must have spent a shit ton of money to get that happening.
True. Let's see. This is a launch trailer for Stray Gods Orpheus, which is the DLC for Stray Gods, which was the musical.
Oh yeah,
about the gods. If you guys are interested in this, Tessa and I played it. It was fucking delightful.
Oh, okay.
Orpheus is in the underworld. Hermes comes and basically says, "Hey, how'd you like to come back to life?" And he's like, "Okay." So he comes to the world, and they ask, "Well," he's like, "What would you like to do first?" And he's like, "Romance." And so
I need to get laid.
He speed dates, and there's like a whole song with the speed dating. I want to call myself out for something here. During the playthrough that we did, there was a song that had these kind of like notes to it that I was like, this feels a lot like a song called Mixed Messages by a guy called Tom Cardy. But I wasn't thinking of Tom Cardy. I was thinking of I wasn't thinking of Mixed Messages. I was thinking of a video. I don't know if you've seen this before, Michael, called Red Flags. No. It's like a music video about a guy that goes on a date with a woman, and she's really into Human Centipede. And it's like him talking about how he's going to die, and it's got this like little animated music video, and it's very catchy. It's very, very catchy. And it's by this guy called Tom Cardy, and it's Red Flags featuring this Montaigne, something like that. You see,
Montaigne,
whatever that is. Well, that person is one of the people who did the songs in Stray Gods Orpheus. So
that's
I did
so
get
fucking
it.
funny.
Yeah, and Tom Cardy.
Yeah, turns out Orpheus is going to talk about how much he loves the Human Centipede.
The other one is called Mixed Messages, and the other big one that he's done, it's kind of a similar style, is called Mixed Messages, and it's about a guy who's dating a woman and then like is sending her mixed messages. Like the back half of the song is all about how like I'm gonna say how much I love you, and then I'm gonna punch your dad in the dick really hard, and then like in the ambulance ride to the hospital, I'm gonna flirt with you, and then when you're not looking, I'm gonna punch your dad in the dick again. Like, so everybody should go watch these.
That's amazing.
I love them a lot. They're total earworms too, so be careful. Speaking of games Tessa and I played last week, we got the launch trailer for Spy X Anya Operation Memories.
It's such a strange game.
Yeah, it is. It's very much kind of like a wholesome, just hanging out with the forgers, but then there's a bunch of mini games, and some of them are just rip-offs of other games, and some of them are like Lloyd has to infiltrate the art the museum and steal art, and Yor has to beat up a bunch of people.
It's so weird. Like, I saw one that was just fucking Parappa the Rapper.
That's Fruit Ninja. When you saw her in the kitchen, it's just Fruit Ninja. And there's like Wii Bowling and like
so crazy.
It's just a bunch of mini games that are all themed off of this thing. But hey, why the fuck not? Like,
no,
you weren't going to make Spy Family into an arena battler, so
that would have been funny to see if them try
a mini game collection that also has some visual novel elements in it. Sure, why not? The one thing that's really weird is they have these DLC outfit packs, Michael, and I noticed this one. One of them is the punk set,
the fuck?
And it's like everybody's wearing black like leather jackets and then like red like ska pants, like red and black plaid ska pants, and like combat boots.
Plaid is in again.
Even Bond, the dog, is wearing like a kerchief that's the red and black plaid punk rock ska
so weird
thing, and I'm like, what? Why? I don't understand.
The denim set disturbs me for some reason.
Yeah. The what?
The denim set.
Oh, they're all like farmers, I guess.
Yeah. Especially Yor.
Except for Lloyd, he's just wearing jeans and a white T-shirt. Yeah. Let's see. Power Wash Simulator has a new DLC. Alice's Adventures. This is an Alice in Wonderland theme pack. This might be the one that I don't actually do because I'm just not as interested in
That's fair.
Alice in Wonderland as I am.
Don't want to get your head chopped off, I see.
Yeah. It's got a nice little trailer where it's all about the queen kind of asking you to clean up the Kingdom of Wonderland after Alice fucked it up or whatever. They got like the Cheshire Cat keeps showing up and stuff. I don't know. Like, I like Power Wash Simulator better when it's the universal crossover mechanism for other franchises. And Alice in Wonderland isn't exactly a franchise that I think I want all on its own.
It's an interesting decision.
Yeah. Yeah. We also got a gameplay trailer for Clock Tower Rewind that's coming out pretty soon. This is the
giant scissors.
Yeah, this is the remake of the SNES Clock Tower that they're putting out.
It was very popular on YouTube for a while. When people were playing Clock Tower a lot because it's a weird fucking premise of just like a crazy serial killer with giant shears chasing you.
Well, and this one is like a little goblin man, right? Like this isn't the big guy scissors. This is like a little guy that keeps popping out with scissors.
Okay, either way, it was a guy with scissors. But I remember Clock Tower being one of those ones that people would be like, this is weird as shit. And then people would play it on Let's Plays for a long time. But they were always like fan translations and stuff.
Right.
Because it wasn't a game that you could really get.
It looks like they're doing a pretty good job with this. I mean, they're keeping the gameplay the same. They're adding in some animated stuff, probably a little bit quality of life stuff. I like there's the one part where they show her like dueling with the scissors guy with a shovel, and I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'd like to see more. You know what I'd really like to see is if this does well, I'd love to see the Sweet Home NES game get an official release.
That would be great
because that was really interesting. So coming out fall 2024. Let's see. We got a story trailer for the Quiet Place game that was announced.
I forgot that was a thing.
A couple weeks back. They had a trailer a couple weeks back for it where it was just like kind of a really brief little gameplay snippet where the lady opens a door and it creaks and then the monster fucking grabs her. This one's really weird because I don't know. Jump ahead, I guess, if you don't want spoilers that are in this trailer for A Quiet Place. The road ahead is that it goes from like the day that the invasion happens, and then the trailer skips forward to like 100 days into the invasion. And there's like a lot of kind of like, I don't know, they show the main character, they show kind of stealth, moving around, like exploring stuff. But then one of the big things about in this trailer is like stealing a pregnancy kit to find out if the character is pregnant. And like,
that's weird.
Oh, well, that seems like a death sentence in the world of Quiet Place. Like, how do you have a child who cries in a world where sound gets you immediately murdered?
Well, that was the plot point in the first one. So.
Oh, was it? I've never seen the first one.
Well, the first, the Emily Blunt's character is pregnant in the first one. So, if I remember correctly, I only watched it the one time. I never saw the second one.
Yeah. Seems like a good environment for a horror game.
Yeah. It's the thing about the Quiet Place that I always thought was interesting is that like it makes more sense as a gameplay mechanic than it does as a horror movie thing.
Right.
Because when you think about it for longer than 5 seconds in a horror movie world, you're like, wait, if they only hear sound, how do they not keep beating each other up? Because they can't see what all they hear is the sound, so they make loud noises. So wouldn't they just beat each other up? Like, how does that work?
Can't you guys just put like a bell like suspended above a volcano caldera and then just keep ringing it?
Yeah.
And they just keep running and jumping into the volcano over and over again?
I'm sure there's ways around this that you haven't thought of, kind of thing.
Yeah. My old... This is so weird. We got a trailer for Attack on Titan VR, which when I thought about it, I was like, oh, this actually really probably works as a VR game because you think about how all of the mobility stuff is on the
I didn't think about that.
Is on the where your thumb and your finger on the VR controller would be. The problem is this is a MetaQuest game.
Oh, geez.
And it's coming out for both the MetaQuest 2 as well.
Okay.
So it kind of looks like balls. Like it looks really bad. Like
I don't think it looks bad so much as it looks like a VR game made for the MetaQuest 2.
Yeah, I guess like everything is flat. The Titans have really weird shading on them.
Actually, you know what? That's not true because I've played other MetaQuest 2 games that look really good.
Yeah.
So no, this actually is not much of an excuse.
Which, like, I don't know. In some ways, I think it's an interesting idea of like, using the immersion of VR to like fly around and like you having to slash at them. Like it could be really empowering and make you feel really cool. Assuming you didn't throw up or fall down because your inner ear was like, what am I seeing?
Yeah.
What am I looking at?
Like I have a hard enough time playing some of the games that I've played on a MetaQuest because I have a MetaQuest 2.
Yeah.
And I recently played that Ghostbusters game on it, which I had some fun with, and then but I also I have Resident Evil 4 on that thing.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm like, I know games can look better on it, but the hard part is making them as super detailed, but also making it to where you don't get sick playing them.
I also think it's a real shame that like Meta seems to be investing a lot of money into game development, and that none of these are coming to PSVR. I want it on PSVR, so.
That's the annoying thing about VR right now is that everybody's like, no, it's got to be on my thing,
right?
And then, but instead of it causes people to not really want to play VR because it's the old console issue where everything you had to have the thing to play the thing,
right?
Like what happened with that Half-Life one, it only worked on that one specific headset correctly.
Oh, Alex?
Yeah.
It was just a PC one.
Yeah, but there was a specific headset that it worked the best on.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Valve ones.
And that was, so it locked out a bunch of other people who were really already into VR, who had already spent hundreds, if not thousands, because VR was not cheap at the beginning.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And then they were like, yeah, but fuck you specifically. Like now you have to spend even more to play this specific thing.
Yeah.
It's like, well, fuck.
July 23rd, that's going into early access.
Okay.
So Attack on Titan VR. And then last on the trailer parade, we got Ixion is coming to consoles. The thing where you're on the big space station where you're going to create stuff. It's like a PC game, very well regarded, and it's coming to consoles. There's no reason why this couldn't be on consoles. And yeah, I never got a chance. I don't think I ever put this on the channel because I think it was like just a little too dry. Yeah. But I might give it a shot. Yeah. So, because I kind of like the idea, but it's coming next year, 2025, to PS5 and the Series X/S. So
neat.
Speaking of the Series X, we might be getting more Activision games on Game Pass soon.
Oh.
There was a report that came out. This is kind of an insider thing where they said that Crash Bandicoot: The Insane Trilogy is set to come to Game Pass in August, which is good. And then the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 and Spyro Reignited Trilogy are rumored to come to Game Pass sometime this summer.
It'd be crazy not to, is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, because so far, I think this article points out, the only game is Diablo. The only Activision Blizzard game that has come to Game Pass has been Diablo.
They've owned this for not too long, but there are plenty of games on there that you're just like, well, just put this on there.
And then, like, the big question is, hey, what about all of the old Call of Duty games?
Yes.
Like,
that would be a great idea.
A lot of them are backwards compatible. You own them. Let people fucking play them, for God's sake.
Not only that, like, you really should just make some of these things just playable in a way that, like so many old games that you could just re-release.
Yeah,
and you'll be fine.
True. Hey, guess what else is coming to Game Pass, Michael? That you motherfuckers are going to have any reasons now. Case of the Golden Idol is coming in July. In addition to that, we're getting Journey to a lot of this is garbage. Journey to a Savage Planet, the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 is actually on there now. Neon White is coming the 11th. Chia is coming on the 11th. Flock is on the 16th. Magical Delicacy is on the 16th. Delicacy. But Case of the Golden Idol is on July 9th. You motherfuckers who haven't played this game need to go play this game already. God damn it. Sequel's coming out soon.
That's true.
So, yeah. Good stuff. Apparently, switching gears from Microsoft to Sony. Sony has not learned their lesson, and Concord will require a PSN account if you're playing it on the PC from launch.
Oh, geez. I want to say oh no anyways, but the problem is, like, this might still be an issue for many people.
Yeah.
For me, the reason I want to make that joke is because I generally don't care about it.
Yeah.
But
you don't care about Concord?
Yeah, because the Concord it's another in a long line of games where, like, this has such an interesting idea that you could have just made a single player game and then you made a multiplayer game. And the issue I have is that Sony does not understand where they lie on the PC market.
Yep.
And they seem to think that this is a good idea for long-term money, but it's not. That's a terrible idea.
Yes. They have a lot of lip service about how, like, well, it's important for crossplay, blah, 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 blah. Which rings a slightly hollow because they also own Bungie, who has Destiny. Destiny has crossplay. You do have to do it through a Bungie account, but I don't know. Sony doesn't understand how much people do not want to sign up for a PSN account.
No.
I do not want your account, Sony. Like,
and it's not like. And the other thing is they seem to think that people are dumb.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, Bungie's been doing has been doing the cross-play thing for years under a specific account for that thing.
Right.
Fortnite has been doing it for years.
Helldivers was doing it before they implemented it.
Yeah, Helldivers was doing it amazingly before that point. Like, you guys don't seem to understand what you're doing correctly. I don't know. It frustrates me.
Okay, big Sims 4 romance update is coming called Love Struck, that's putting in like Tinder and like a bunch of depth in the romance category of like likes and dislikes and stuff like that. But then also there's going to be a free update that comes with it that adds polyamory to The Sims.
Sure, I guess. It's a thing that happens now, so yeah.
I have no experience with that, but people want to put themselves in The Sims, which means...
If all your Sims aren't fucking each other, what's the point of The Sims? Is pretty much what has happened here.
Well, no, but previously it was like if you want a fucking different Sim, you got to break up with that current Sim, and then they're going to be a whole thing. So, yeah, there's apparently a bunch more romance options. I don't know.
This trailer is confusing.
People still playing The Sims 4? I don't know.
It's a super expensive game now at this point.
With all these expansions, I feel like they should just have... Do they have a subscription service for The Sims 4? And if not, why not?
I'm amazed they don't.
So, anyway, that's coming pretty soon. Space Marine 2 was going to have a public beta test, which has been canceled.
Oh, okay.
Because they want to basically, like, instead of running a beta test, they want to focus on getting the game up to snuff and not have to worry about it. Like,
it's a good move.
They did a closed beta test, and apparently they're like, yep, we don't want to have to spend cycles monitoring and administering a test. We already kind of know what we're doing. We just want to use the time to polish things up. So,
all right, cool.
Yep. This is a weird thing. Don't Nod has delayed that Lost Records Bloom and Rage. You know that game that looks a lot like Life is Strange with the four girls and they're teenagers. It's like the 80s. That game was coming out like later this year. And then Deck 9 announced that they were putting out that that new Life is Strange game also later this year.
Yeah.
And so Don't Nod, who developed the original Life is Strange before they passed that franchise off, was like, we're going to move this one into early 2025 because we don't want there to be two Life is Strange style games out at the same time. Which is probably a good move because I don't know if that audience is big enough to be able to afford a Coke Pepsi war. Like
they're not big. Neither side can afford that.
Yeah,
it would literally kill both of them.
Yes,
and so I think it's a better idea for them to both wait.
All right,
one of them to wait.
Wrap it up with a little bit of crazy Elden Ring stuff that I found. Michael, number one, somebody showed off. What is the streamer here? Biotic Nova. Playing, beating the lion boss from the DLC one-handed while eating, like specifically eating with their other hand, and then they're using a controller with one hand.
Oh, that's fun.
At level 1, and then beating this boss like whilst eating a breakfast.
Oh my god.
With like specifically a camera on their hand to show what they're doing. Last week we had the whole thing about how like, oh, these bosses are too hard. And I know that this isn't a good metric, right?
No.
Nobody wants to do this, but this is just some fun stuff that I think is really interesting. So, that was pretty fun. There was another one where somebody beat the final boss of the DLC. This is from Dr. Doot using an electric saxophone.
Oh my god.
So playing an electric saxophone as their controller. I think they're kind of cheating a little bit because they're using this new weapon that's a shield that can also attack.
Oh, that's fine.
So while you're blocking, if you hit the attack, you'll attack and you'll still mostly be blocking. But yes, this is like the 12th time that they tried the last boss. And he was really happy when it happened. I love seeing people do dumb shit like this.
Yeah, I'm really happy for him because look at the pure joy on his face.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, that's stupid, but I can't believe it worked.
Last week when I was in the Elden Ring subreddit, Michael, I saw this. This was amazing, and I love it so much. So this is the final boss of the DLC, and the title of this video, the name of the boss, I'm not going to say it because it's a spoiler. All hit, no dodging, no blocking, no flask.
Oh my goodness.
So they're not allowed to dodge, they're not allowed to block, they're not allowed to roll, they're not allowed to heal.
Oh my god.
And so they are stacking specifically this like resistance buffs, and then there's a rune that lets you do like Bloodborne where if you get hit, you can get that health back by like counterattacking.
Yeah.
So basically he just like runs up into the boss's face with twin Naginatas and just does these attacks where you can see the part of the health bar that the pink part is the part that can be gotten back.
Yeah.
And then also he has some health regen on, but basically it's just doing these like, it's stacking a lot of mechanics that would be boring to go into, but just stacking this shit of like face tanking the last boss that everybody's having trouble with. My favorite part is the last boss has a big kind of like a big kind of fuck off attack where they leave and then they come back. That's reminiscent of some other stuff, and they just use one of the perfumes in the games that give you one free hit. So then when they come back, it's just kind of, or it gives you extreme damage reduction. So basically, like at this point in the normal game, everybody starts running so they don't get hit when this thing happens. He just stands there and eats it, and it just like goes back to attacking immediately. And yeah. And then at the end, he throws a poison pot just as a fuck you. Like,
oh my god!
So yeah, all hit, no dodge, no.
Oh my
heal.
Goodness!
It's pretty amazing.
He almost died like multiple times in that video.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Everybody should go look it up. It's pretty amazing. And then last but not least, there's a company in Japan, Michael, that is making a tiny little pot coffee cup. So the pots in Elden Ring, the DLC has some horrifying shit that happens with them. But this is like more like
adorable.
What they look like in the base game with the little hands crossed in the front. And it's got the little wax seal on the top that you could take off. And then you could totally fill it up with coffee. I really kind of want one of these. They also made a cookie jar, which is pretty fun.
Oh, that's fun.
And then also a bunch of pins that are the various talismans in the game, which is pretty cool.
Well, how much is the mug?
It's like $37 to pre-order from their thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been thinking about it, but
It's cheaper than those shirts that were like $1,000 or whatever.
I'm gonna just fill it up with meat. I'm gonna put stew in it and just slurp beef out of it.
Oh, jeez. Just as God intended.
And that's the podcast. We are over. So no matter how few news I have, we can still manage to ramble on. Michael, why don't you tell them where they can find you when you're not over here helping me with the podcast?
You can find me on oneofs.net. We do a lot of movie and television reviews. My last review on it was Inside Out 2, but there's plenty of other reviews on there.
Yeah. That made a lot of money. Inside Out 2.
Yes, it made a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
I'm very happy for them.
I'm like, hey, put out a movie where you could take your screaming fucking children and shove them in an air-conditioned box for 2 hours, make them shut up. Wow. Money. Yeah. Patreon.com/RageSelect. If you enjoyed the podcast, the Patreon has been down a little bit. The Patreon does also cover my time, the hours that it takes me to put all this dumb shit together into a chronological order. It does. It's by far the most time-consuming thing I do every week. So if you got an extra $5, come to the Discord server, watch bonus videos, or just, put it there and then pat yourself on the back for being a loyal subscriber to RageSelect. That is it. We're done. You can stay if you want to, but I'm going to sleep. So if you want to watch me do that, I find it creepy, but you're not going to stop me. You're not going to stop me.